because I am.
We are live to the millions of viewers around the world.
Millions.
Thank you for joining us with your fancy gloves, Mr. Billy Power.
You're welcome.
Absolute Awesome Show, episode 17. We've got Josh here, we've got Cliff here, we've got our special guest, Billy Power, in the house tonight with his skeleton gloves in honor of either Halloween or maybe he's just really into skeletons. I don't know.
Danzig's final touring days coming to an end.
There you go. And Billy goes a long way back with us from back in our Drexel U days when I used to chase him down the hall asking him to sign my band. And then years later, when his boss decided to sign my band, he was like, "No, don't do that." But then he did it anyway, and we've been great friends ever since.
That's not true. Actually, before it was the Huntingtons and you were cricket, we played with you guys at Drexel.
I know, that's what I'm talking about. The old days, man. Yeah, dude. Totally.
Yeah, no one knows what we're talking about.
No, well, you know, that's okay.
About six people do.
The Huntington does, and that's all that's important.
Like, yeah, dude, sweet.
Yeah, and anybody that knows that time frame of the band would be totally fine with the boss of Tooth and Nail saying, no, don't sign those guys, because at that point, that would have been a really bad idea. Let's be honest.
Yes, that's true. But you know, I first met you, Billy, when you were you were doing your own record label, and you guys were just cassette. I think you guys were all cassettes.
Yeah.
And I met you at Cornerstone, and you had this new band called Poor Old Lou, and I bought that cassette, and I thought it was really great. And then they went on the front line, and then it fizzled out, and then kind of went from there. But that was I mean, because Frontline made everyone fizzle out, as you know. So, but
put out like a Don't Know cassette and a Sometimes Sunday cassette.
Yep, I remember all that stuff.
The band, Songs from Rain Factory, with a bunch of people on there.
So that was really cool. That's when I first met you.
I'm pretty up to date on my, Christian punk music history. But what about Poor Old Lou? Like, were you in Poor Old Lou? You weren't in Poor Old Lou.
I was in a band at that time period. I was in a band, but actually before they were Bell Bang Villa first, is what they were called when they were still in high school, early high school, and then they changed their name to Poor Old Lou. And then I was in a band called Gloria that I was the bass player in. It was a band that already existed that I joined as the bassist, and then we used to play a lot of shows with them actually, like around like Seattle. And then midway through that, I decided to start Blenderhead or whatever, but that was kind of like, we were playing with them all the time. And then Aaron recorded the very first Blenderhead song, and then did our first record and all that stuff. So we were tight with all those guys from the same kind of scene or whatever.
Right.
And what was the old label name again? I forget.
Fearless Donkey Records,
oh!
and then later it was called Morphine Records.
Right.
All right. Now Okay. All right. For some reason, Fearless Donkey makes me. Now, did you know the guys in what was that band? They were so awesome. They were they were a punk rock band. The singer was a big guy, and he's older than the rest of. That's it. Yeah.
Which later became Crux.
Right. So the Empty Tomb is when I really loved them.
Yeah.
Man, my goodness. It was just so good. It was just.
I love this game.
Yes, thank you.
I couldn't have been working with a less better set of things. There was a guy, he was big, and there were some other guys.
Right. I would have got you though, because I would eventually said, but look, you got it real quick. But I was eventually gonna, if I had to, I would have gone, and he's in a wheelchair now. And then I would have said, and he wrote a song. You wrote a song about some guy named Wayne who died of AIDS.
Right.
And then you would have.
I remember.
Right. Thanks for going.
And they had the song.
Thanks for going to the area that you weren't going to go to because it would be controversial. You went there anyway to explain.
No. There's nothing controversial about it. I'm just saying that I would have eventually got to enough clues that he would have known who I was talking about. But you knew real quick. It was awesome.
Yeah. When I went to see those guys one time in Portland, and I had spilled gasoline all over my pants, and I was self-conscious the whole show, I remember, because I just reeked of gasoline, and nobody wanted to stand next to me. What's this guy's deal? I let it go too long, and it just sprayed out all over my clothes. I was like, well, I got to go to the show. I guess I'm just going to smell like gasoline. So
that's awesome.
That's my little Empty Tomb memory for you.
Empty Tomb.
Dude. Yeah. Where's that singer guy now? Is he still alive?
The Crux?
No, he wasn't in Crux. He was just in Empty Tomb. Then the musician guys from Empty Tomb formed Crux. But I'm not sure. Actually, I haven't been in touch with that guy.
He was having a lot of health problems, I know, for a while.
Is he also the guy? There was a guy that was in Crux that was also in Crash Dog. Same guy.
Really?
No, are you sure? I don't think so, man.
Yeah, man. Sideburns.
Oh, Andrew?
Sideburns back then, but
No, but Andrew wasn't in Crooks. Andy, he
Oh,
went
wait.
on to be
No, I
Andy
know.
from what's his name?
short-handed.
But he wasn't in Empty Tomb. Shorthanded, he was just in Crooks and then shorthanded. I don't think he was ever in Empty Tomb, was he? Was Andy in Empty Tomb?
I don't. It's possible.
I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong.
It's all getting fuzzy.
All those Jesus People USA, it's all blur.
I just remember the how awesome it was when there's always those guys with those big tubes just blowing in those big giant tubes, and they would make all these squirrely noises, and they would just sit there with their long hair and dreadlocks in that little corner booth. And
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, that was the Empty Tubes, different band.
Yeah, that's different.
Where's the Banump Singh?
I like all your guys' backgrounds. It's very very diverse. Like Cliff, I feel like is at like some startup, like in his office, hiding behind his desk.
Yeah, I'm a truck broker, and I work from home.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, when I used to live in Texas, and I got a job for a company there, and my wife and I decided to move here after we had kids. We wanted 4 seasons and just this kind of life up here, and I had just gotten really good at my job, so my company said, we want to keep you and take all your stuff with you, and it's cool, and just, so I got business class internet in my home, and I do everything I do.
A couple monitors, and then Mike's got art, just art. I like it.
That's right. And green, he looks like he's in Weezer. He's got the green background. So
all I've got is a piano and this little tree.
So it keeps your office smelling nice.
That's right.
Like a new car fresh.
So let's transition from whoever was an Empty Tomb. Maybe it was this guy, maybe it was that guy. Maybe Cliff was an Empty Tomb.
I don't think so.
Fascinating stuff, man.
Andy did look a lot like me though, like he could be my brother almost.
All right, so let's go from that to Billy going to Tooth and Nail and being a guy there who makes some decisions. And so, like, what sparked that? How did that happen?
Well, I was running. I somehow convinced Brandon, like on the very first Tooth and Nail tour ever, which is like Wish for Eden and Focus. They did a West Coast tour, and we played. I booked all the shows that were in Seattle, and we got signed after we played with like Focused Bow, the second record on Tooth and Nail had just come out. And so we played those shows with them, and Brandon was up for the holidays, and he came to the show, and we got signed like right after the show. And then around the time we were recording our first record, I convinced Brandon. He was talking about starting like a mail order operation, and I had kind of already done that with my label. I kind of knew how to do it, and I was like, you know what? Like, let me just run mail order from my apartment in Seattle. And so he shipped up a bunch of hoodies and like the first 10 to 20 or so releases. I want to say we were up through like T&D 1019, like through like Joy Electric's first record or something like that. And so like those early mail catalogs that used to come in the CDs and cassettes and stuff, it would say call Bill at whatever, and have my phone number. And so I was basically just running Tooth and Nail mail order out of my apartment. And then he decided he wanted to move the label from California to Seattle to be back in the Northwest, because a lot of music stuff was happening there, and he wanted to be closer to his family. And so at the end of the Blenderhead West Coast tour, we played the last show in Arizona with Overcome, and then Matt Johnson, our drummer from Blenderhead, and I drove a moving truck back to California, picked up Brandon's stuff from his apartment, picked up all the stuff from the Tooth and Nail office, and then basically drove Tooth and Nail in a moving truck to Seattle. He and I had looked at offices, found an office, and then I just by sort of default, I just became the manager of the label. So it's pretty fortuitous, kind of lucky kind of thing, and that's sort of the Cliff Notes version of it.
And how long did it take you to start making real money?
When I started doing mail order, I remember because I made like $1 a mail order item. That was like what my pay was.
Oh my goodness.
So I think the first month I worked for Tooth and Nail, I made like $400 or something like that. And then eventually I was put on salary. I don't remember like what I started at. Like by the end, I was making the most I've ever made, which is around 50, I guess, 50,000 a year. Something
Right
like that.
on.
So not bad for a guy who didn't go to college. So.
Right, not bad at all.
Especially like that. I mean, not like it's long ago, but it's not that long ago. But still, 50,000 back in the 90s.
That'd be worth like $95,000 a year now, probably.
Yeah, I would say like.
Wait, let's find out. Let's find out. So this would have been.
Matt, that's off the top of the head.
Wait, Yes.
Right?
So you left in 2003. So in 2003, you were making about $50,000 a year. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
We did the same thing.
$2,003.
By the way, we did the same thing with CJ Ramon, where he
Oh,
told us
did you?
exactly how much he made in the Ramones, which was like $750 a week tops,
Nice.
at the pinnacle of their career. Because yeah, I don't know why.
I felt good about it until Scott Kerr from 5 Iron Frenzy told me how much he was making at the peak of that band. He made more than I ever made working at Tooth and Nail, and then I famously passed on signing them, and so I got.
Wait, what band was this?
So. 5 Iron Frenzy.
Oh,
Nice
yeah,
album.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the peak though, but the peak in bands doesn't last very long. By the way, you were making $65,000 in today's dollars.
All right.
So that was off by $30,000.
Just slightly off.
It's been, by the way, the year after I left Tooth and Nail, I started my own management company, and I made like $10 or something. I don't know, like $500 for the year or something. I thought I was going to get audited for sure. They're like, how did you make 50 grand and now make $500?
Bill, I gotta ask because I'm gonna forget if I don't ask this right now.
That's okay.
There was a band back when you did that. I remember, Man Alive. They're from Israel or something, right?
Yeah, I'm still really tight with those guys. My wife and I are going to go there in April actually to see them and hang out.
It's awesome. Yeah, because they're like a punk band from Israel.
They
that
are.
You signed on your label thing or whatever, and not label, but management company.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I remember that. I remember talking to those guys because I think they might have liked Huntingtons a little bit or something, but somehow we got in contact and I knew they were associated with you, and I was like, oh, okay, well.
It was two brothers who were Canadian and who moved to Israel, and then two brothers that were from Texas that also the mom I think was Israeli, one of the parents was Israeli. One of the guitarists was like in the Israeli Defense Forces, like Special Forces and stuff. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, they still are kind of active. They play like anytime somebody comes, like when NoFX came to Israel, they played with them and took them around the city. And there's another band called Useless ID from Jerusalem that they're really good friends with that they've kind of played with a bunch.
Just
kind of an unusual kind of thing. Yeah.
Because they're from Israel, it just blows my mind. Like there's, I know there's a Netflix movie. I never watched it. There's some really Netflix thing out there, but
and they toured here quite a bit actually too. So.
Yeah.
Good dudes.
Pretty dangerous to live in Israel.
Well,
go ahead, Mike. Let Mike talk. What?
Yeah, let me talk, darn it. So when you did the Tooth and Nail $50,000 a year gig.
Yeah. I'm already sorry I told you guys that.
That's the last time that I will mention it, but I guarantee it'll get brought up again.
I will bring it up again.
All right.
But during that time, I mean, like, what was the deal? Were you influential in like what kinds of bands you wanted to bring into the Tooth and Nail family, or was it someone else was bringing the bands in and then you were just molding them, or how did that work?
I signed a lot of bands actually. The first band I ever signed to the label was Goaty Hook. We played with them. Blenderhead played and MXPX. We played with those guys in Virginia on that tour in '95. So this was pretty early on in my time there. I worked there from 1993 to 2003. So I guess in the first couple of years of me working there, that was the first band that actually came to Brandon and said, "Hey, I really want to sign this band." And then kind of more than after that, I was the only person that would listen to demos. Nobody else wanted to do it, so I would go through all the demos and listen to all them. So some of the bands I signed off of demos would have been like Slick Shoes I signed from a demo, Craig's Brother I signed from a demo. I'm trying to think who else would have been a demo band.
I still think Craig's Brother has the all-time best first album ever released on Tooth and Nail.
I agree. I thought it was awesome.
Well, just so good.
They put out their record and then went on tour. They went on one tour and then both guitar players quit.
Right, and that tour was with us, so we had
your fault. I knew it. And then I was like Strong Arm's A&R guy, although I didn't sign them. And then when they started Further Seems Forever, I brought Further Seems Forever to the label. They introduced me to Stretch Armstrong, who I also signed and brought to the label. Trying to think, those are probably the big ones, like Stretch Armstrong, Further Seems Forever.
So was there a game plan, or was it just like, these demos sound great, I don't care what style of music it is, I'm not really concerned with the background of the band or whether they've got a following or any of that sort of thing? Was it just like purely, I think these guys are good, or was there more to it?
That's a great question. I would say early on, it was like, that they had to be Christians, or at least the singer had to be a Christian. I think later, as we got more like bigger distribution and that kind of thing, and there was that kind of reverse pressure of like you have to turn into one sheet, and the one sheet has to have sales points and all that kind of stuff. That kind of like put an added pressure, I would say, in the later days of like there was more requirements. Like you kind of had to have had toured, and you had to, like when the label first started, this was on the tail end when everything was still very DIY. I mean, like internet stuff just came into play. Like I did this tour journal we were talking about earlier, and when I opened it, I had the postcard we mailed out. Like that's how we told people we were going on tour, was we mailed the people on our mailing list a postcard with our dates on it. So that was kind of like the beginning of that time. A lot of stuff changed over the course of us doing it. Like email was just coming into, like when we started the label, like we had an AOL account with like toothonnail at AOL.com was like our email address. We didn't have like even bill at toothonnail.com for like the first 3 to 5 years or something crazy. So like I guess a lot of stuff changed over time as far as that goes. But yeah, I mean for me personally, I'm from punk, and I've been into punk most of my life. Like I got into punk probably around like 5th grade, maybe something like around 5th grade. So I'm sort of like into all that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of bands that I would tend to kind of be into, like the punk stuff or the like, mathy rock or post-punk or any kind of thing like that. And then anything that was like other kind of stuff, I would just kind of pass on to people if I thought it was good or like whatever. But usually it was like the songs. Like in Craig's Brothers' case, like I would say definitely those songs like really got stuck in my head. Like I kind of listened to it initially, and then over time, like I realized like I was kind of humming the songs to myself. Like the songs were really, really strong, I felt. And like in the case of Slick Shoes, I thought the singing was not that great, but at the beginning, because he was only like 14 or something, but Jackson's guitar playing was like ridiculous.
Yep.
So I was like, I just want to work with this band to be able to work with like this guy, because he's clearly like superiorly talented guitar player. So there's always kind of different things. I don't know if there's any like one little template or something like that, but we wanted the bands to be like legitimate, not just some. Maybe it didn't always seem like that, at least for me. I wanted to have it be something that was sort of unique or really good, a standout in its thing. Like examples of that to me would be like Further Seems Forever, like Stretch Armstrong. You know what I mean? Like Stretch Armstrong was a super legitimate, like whatever. And,
I went through a stretch of being the biggest Stretch Armstrong fan in the world. Me and a couple friends of mine in the Philly area, we would just go every Jersey show, Philly down to like Virginia, like whenever they hit the East Coast, we were at every show, man. And I had the Stretch Armstrong windbreaker jacket.
Nice. Yeah, and then further to answer that, Mike, just like in the mid-level time, then there was also a period where we were doing a lot of licensing and things like that. So like I was instrumental in like Blindside and Extol and some of that stuff. Like I became friends with those guys overseas, and so we were trying to license some of those kind of bands. So that was like a different criteria as well. And then there was also the era of like bands like you guys that had put out records on other labels and that kind of stuff, but kind of wanted to broaden what they were doing a little bit. Like so like Element 101 comes to mind for that. Like they had the Burnt Toast release already. So there's kind of that scenario also. Some bands that kind of were on little smaller labels and had maybe put out a record or two and kind of had maybe toured with Tooth and Nail bands as an opener or something. And so there's some of that going as well. A lot of stuff through connections of friendships and, hey, I know these guys and they're really good. You should check them out. I know that's how like Overcome got signed as an example. Like they were friends with somebody else on the label.
Now, several episodes ago, we featured some Tooth and Nail band long after you left the band. This was like the last couple years, and we featured them on here specifically because we were just blown away by what they did. And then this led us to a very long conversation about something I'm going to ask you about. So I don't even remember what the band was, but they were moaning and boning about how Tooth and Nail was making their lyrics be whatever, and they were just sitting there. They had these big sad faces on, and I don't know. Do you remember what the band is?
Icon for Hire, maybe.
Yeah. So it's that whole.
Oh, yeah, okay. We were talking about them.
I have to say before you go any further, I don't know those guys at all. I don't know their music or anything. I just saw a thread.
We didn't actually have them on the show.
Yeah, I saw a thread. I saw a thread about it. So.
Right. There exactly same thing. So, but it started. I mean, for us, we were just blown away by that. But it started a larger conversation in remembering of all the bands that would leave Tooth and Nail and then just talk crap about Tooth and Nail and say how. And it always occurred to us that people would get signed to Tooth and Nail, and somehow in their mind, Tooth and Nail was going to make them rock stars and famous. And they didn't realize that no, Tooth and Nail's job is to promote how they see fit, and then and put you in a studio and pay for an album, and then pay for your recording, get some decent artwork, and it's up to you to go out and make your band. Yeah. Which is exactly what we did. We just worked our tails off, and whenever anything we got, it was cool. I mean, obviously, Tooth and Nail gave us more cash, however we say that word, but it took us more, like, certain amounts of people and certain people in scenes took us more seriously once that happened. But we still had to, we just had to work hard for what we got, and to see all the different bands who would have that crybaby kind of attitude would just blow us away. And I was wondering how much of that stuff ever got back to you, and what your thoughts were about it at the time.
Oh, I think pretty much all of it got back to me at one point or another.
Right.
You know, I don't know, man. It's like anything. Like I think, like, it's easy to be on the road, and being on the road is not easy. As you guys know, being in a working band and that kind of stuff, it's not for everybody. And I think that, you know, like, from my generation of people, and, you know, I'm going to be like 47 next month, so I'm a little bit older.
Hey, dude, you got me by a year. That's it.
Nice.
I'm 46 in a week.
Well, you know what I'm saying. Like, so from our generation, like, when we got into these kind of bands and playing punk music and stuff like that, no one ever considered it to be like a way that you would make money, or that I would make a living from it. Like, I just did it because I loved the music and I wanted to do it, and no one ever thought, ever, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make a living being in a punk band, or like whatever. This is how I'm gonna make my big cash, or like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just never a consideration. So I think, and I don't even know how it started, but there was always perception versus reality. Is there's such a huge gap between those two things, and for most people, their perception is reality. So to them, oh, this band, look, they're in a van and they're on tour, and they must be, you know, rich, and like, what, you know what I mean? Like, we did a 7-week national tour with MXPX in '95, and you know, we paid our bills and paid our merch bill and all that kind of stuff, and then we had nothing left afterwards. Like, and I feel like, you know, I worked at the label. Like, we had no, you know what I mean? Who has a better chance than the person who's like the number 2 guy at the thing? Like, I think you just get out of it what you put into it, and like, you know, I feel like we always had a pretty good relationship, like, with your guys' band and everything like that, because you just did your part and you would go out there and tour. And I don't think, I mean, it's hard to say over long term to remember this kind of stuff, but I feel like, you know, like, we always got along well because you kind of did the thing, and that's the most you can ask for.
I always looked at it like I joined after they were already on Tooth and Nail or whatever, but I kind of looked at it as like, we're gonna tour all the time.
Yeah.
For a few years there anyway, but I knew we were not one of the bigger Tooth and Nail bands. You know, there's other bands that were just way bigger, and we were gonna be this level Tooth and Nail band. They're happy to have us. They don't want us somewhere else, kind of thing. And that's what we'll do until our time with Tooth and Nail is over. And then towards the end, we were like kind of like not really playing anymore very much. So we were like, let's just do a greatest hits record and finish out our contract.
I think there's like a perception with a lot of people in bands that there's some kind of magic template that we apply to some people that are successful that we never apply to them. Like, oh, if we had had that thing, then this would have been different, as if there's some kind of blueprint that exists that just doesn't exist. Like,
you have to have the songs, you have to have charisma, you have to have the ability to perform really well, and you have to be in the right place at the right time.
Yes, absolutely.
Probably 10 times to then get anywhere.
Sure, of course. I mean, like in the case of MXPX, for example, all that was us responding to demand. I mean, to be honest, they were out touring all the time, and people just started calling, like, hey, do you have this band MXPX? We want to buy their records. And then we'd say, oh, by the way, check out 90 Pound Wuss and the Huntingtons, and we have these other bands. And we would always try to, like, you know, give that same platform to those bands and whatever, but it was always a response to whatever people were, like, you know, asking us for, looking for, or whatever. And the band was the one that was creating that demand in reverse to us. You know what I mean? It's not like you have some magic wand you can wave and go, okay, your band's going to be huge. Like, if we ship your record to every radio station in the country, they're just going to totally play it, like, if we tell them to. Like, you know what I mean?
On that note, though, so, like, you kind of explained, like, your thought process, but, you know, of how you would listen to demos, and there was, like, a sort of a little bit of a criteria for what you would use to sign bands.
Mm-hmm.
But on the same note of like the public wanting a certain thing,
Yeah.
was there, and not saying necessarily that you had this attitude,
Right.
but was there an attitude at the label that said, hey, we're not really into this band per se, they're not really our thing,
Right.
Nobody really is like gravitating towards what they're doing, however, they're kind of blowing up in their little scene, and they're doing something kind of special for themselves, so let's grab them and market them, even though no one at the label is really all that into it. I mean, I gotta admit that at some point that sort of thing happened.
I don't know. That's tough. Because I would say that like we definitely didn't agree always on like somebody had to be, and by somebody, either Brandon or myself, typically, like, we'd like to have some kind of consensus. I mean, we don't want to just sign a band that everybody at the label hates. Like that, we would never do that because you can't motivate employees to go pitch the record, and you can't get your publicist to get excited. You can't get your salespeople to get excited about pitching a record of a band that nobody likes. There may have been a few. I mean, again, it's like so subjective to each and every kind of band. Like I'll give you an example, the famous example, like the band Off the Record, who are super nice guys, and I'm sure they're great and like whatever. But it kind of came down to like we were going to sign Off the Record or we were going to sign Thrice, and I wanted to sign Thrice. And who knows? All things being equal, again, I'm not saying they necessarily would have blown up like they did. Probably, maybe they wouldn't have blown up like they are today. But that was the band I wanted to sign, and I kind of got overridden because another band that was big on the label was friends with them, and so he's kind of trying to keep the artist happy. Was kind of, what I mean? Was sort of like some of that was at play with that too. The Supertones, like I ended up being really great friends with those guys, and thought they were really great people, but I totally fought to like not sign that band. Like I was like, these guys are stupid. Like their lyrics are dumb. Like I don't think we should work with them. Like whatever. And they had actually approached Brandon a bunch of times, and he had said no. And it was just Jason Carson's like persistence, and he just thought, wow, this guy's really a go-getter. They seem to be really popular, down here and whatever. And I would say in the beginning that was maybe a band that a lot of people weren't into. I mean, I definitely was not into. But then once they got signed, and then kind of in the later years, the thing I used to like to say a lot was like it became more about the people in the band even than their music. And so maybe that's some of what you're getting at. Like we had some bands on the label, like on Solid State, for example, that like were not great as people and weren't great to the kids and weren't great to fans, and I was way against that. Like that to me was way more upsetting than like a band being kind of corny but being really super legit dudes. Like that became more important to me, to work with people that I could believe in as people and want to support what they're doing. Whether or not it was a record I listened to became less important, just on a working, practical kind of level of like you not wanting your day to go shitty. You know what I mean? It's like, do you want to get the phone call from the guy that always calls every day and complains, why don't we have this? Why don't we have that? We went to Best Buy and they didn't have our CD. Or do you want the guy that's like, oh, thank you so much, man. You guys are awesome. Like you guys are the greatest and we're praying for you, and, keep up the good work. And like, who do you want to talk to? So it kind of becomes more practical of like, dude, these guys are assholes. I don't want to deal with these people.
Right.
Like, I'd rather work with these bands. They're positive. They're like, So I would say, yeah, at some point, some of that stuff becomes more of an overriding factor of like who you want to be.
How does Tooth and Nail and anyone else even stay in business now?
I don't know.
It's literally like a whole different planet now.
Yeah.
Back then. It's crazy.
In regards to the way it was, because I was one of those kids that was getting the mail order and getting all excited and calling the number and wondering, I wonder who's going to answer the phone. I wonder if it's going to be Bill Power, because like it would be, you expect it to be the people that were in the pictures in the catalog, because like my career in the catalog and stuff.
Totally.
And it would be like some of those guys that would answer sometimes when you call, but like back then it was totally like you have, it's like our show is now. We're trying to make access to our fans, the few fans that we have that actually watch this regularly. Like we want them to have access to our heroes and stuff as well. And and that's what is kind of making this show a little bit different. But back then, it was like we had access because all we had to do is pick up the phone and call Tooth and Nail and ask to get whatever. Nowadays, I went on Tooth and Nail's website maybe a couple months ago just to I just wanted to send Brandon a message or someone. I just wanted to send someone a message to be like, by the way, in case anyone does any news updates about Huntingtons, this is what we're doing now. We have this going on, and I think it was we were about to play in New York with CJ, and we just had some stuff going on. I was like, maybe Tooth and Nail would like to know this for their newsletter if they have such a thing. I couldn't find any contact info on their website. Like, there's no way to contact anybody there, and I'm not friends with.
It's like Brandon
that I'm friends with from that world nowadays, and you don't work there anymore. So
it's like Brandon in Seattle, Jim's in California, works remote, and then I don't even know who the staff is. Every single person, aside from those two guys, like it's all new people, and they have a very skeleton crew because they had to they got out of their EMI deal finally. But when they did that, they had to downsize dramatically. Like they're an independent label now. They're like completely, self-owned or whatever you want to call it.
Cool.
Completely indie again. They had to do a deal with EMI to get out of their EMI deal or whatever. But yeah, it's like a very skeleton crew operation these days.
Well, how?
Like John Fraser, who was like the big guy there for like most of the 90s, like he has his own label, Spartan Records now, and Jordan Butcher, who's in the graphics department, like he's on tour with Copeland, I think, right now as a drummer. He does graphic design freelance. And
does like Tooth and Nail still like pay for bands to go in studios, or is it all?
Yeah, they basically like started over though, like anybody, and I think most of the bands that were still kind of like the later era bands, like Under Oath, Me Without You, and all those bands kind of had left at that point. So like Norma Jean was on their own, whatever. A lot of them finished their contracts and then just kind of ended, basically.
That's probably smart though. They'll probably keep them around a little bit longer than other labels, by starting over. And not trying to keep it going to the major label level or whatever.
I definitely like the climate now better than ever, and I know it's not popular to say, and I'm probably saying that because I'm not trying to be a working musician for a living, nor have I ever really tried to do that as a living. I've just kind of fallen into one thing or another, worked with my friends, and tried to do stuff that was interesting to me. But I like the era that we're in now, where the musician is so empowered to be able to do their own stuff. The fact that you guys can do this show, the fact that I can do a podcast and give it out for free, the fact that basically anybody can make a record on a laptop and get it on iTunes through TuneCore or something for a minimal amount of money and have their music heard by anybody in the world.
And if you know what you're doing, it can actually sound good.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great time to me. Not a great time for people who are trying to make money, I guess.
Yeah, totally, though. That's what Cliff's doing. Cliff, you should send him your demo that we made.
Send me your demo, dude.
Listen to demos.
On this whole note of let's just do our own thing, I'm going to go post the link.
Nice.
So,
Dropbox me, Cliff.
Just going to text message here for the one who wants
we're actually doing the album now, so I'll wait till it's done, and
cool.
then I'll master it, and then I'll send it over to you. It's just, it's I don't even know if you would. It's me singing. You're probably not even gonna like it.
You guys continue to talk about how terrible Cliff is at singing, and perhaps we could, we got to throw Kiss into the mix at some point, and I would love to not be.
I love Kiss, actually.
Oh, see?
Bring it.
All of us old guys like that.
Dude, I was Paul Stanley in a lip sync at my elementary school, and I was like in 4th grade.
This is not going the way I expected it. Right. So dude, what we're gonna do is when
you make that many records, there's at least several that most people can say they like. Most people are not like me, where they like all of them except for one. But still,
I don't like that.
But still.
All right. So join links going out. So you guys continue. I'm gonna go post this thing all across the interwebs, and I'll be back in a sec.
All right.
All right. So, Bill, what do you do now? What do you do now to make a living? What do you do? What's your job?
Have you heard of School of Rock, not the movie?
Yeah.
So there's a chain called School of Rock. It started in Philadelphia a number of years ago. A guy named Paul Green was like a private music instructor, and he kind of arranged a bunch of his private students into like a loose jam kind of thing. And he noticed in his kind of loft apartment in Philly, and he noticed that the kids kind of progressed a lot quicker playing together in a band type situation than they did individually.
Sure.
And so he kind of trained them on a bunch of Zappa stuff, and he took a bunch of the kids to Zappenau-Fest in Germany, and they were playing like these young like little kids are playing like Frank Zappa, and everyone's
Is
like,
the movie
"Holy
based
crap."
on this guy or something?
No, there's actually a documentary called Rock School that is about the actual Paul Green and School of Rock. And School of Rock, the movie, came later and is not related, although some people say Jack Black's character in there has some similar characteristics to Paul Green, who's very like dynamic kind of personality or whatever. So then he kind of like built the school up. He got an investor, and then he kind of expanded into Jersey and kind of started opening other schools. And back then it was just the Paul Green School of Rock, I think, or something like that. And then and then it kind of spread all over. Now there's like 170 schools. They're all over the world. And I manage the one that's in Red Bank, New Jersey, about an hour south of New York City. It's the same town where Kevin Smith has his comic book shop where they shoot that comic book.
Is it hard? Is it hard? Like, is your job to make sure you have students paying and coming in?
Yeah, I mean, my job is a lot of things, but yeah, hiring the teachers and doing the marketing, and then I have a gal that works for me that does a lot of the lead management because the moms like her a lot, so I let her.
So what do you do when you don't have enough students that year and you're worried about? Does that ever happen?
Oh yeah, like every summer we lose like half the school when everybody goes on vacation and stuff for the summer. We lose a lot of kids, and then we basically spend the fall getting everybody back and whatever. But it's super cool, man. Like we do we're doing a Who show right now. There's like 20 kids in that show, and they'll get to play at the end of 4 months. They'll learn all these songs by the Who, and they'll get to play at an actual venue.
You gotta do the Ramones, man.
Well, we did a punk show when I very first started there. We played the Misfits and a bunch of stuff. We did a Radiohead show. We've done a bunch of cool stuff there. We did a Pop Goes Punk show.
I think you posted a picture of being at a Who show.
I did, yeah. We had a connection with them where I brought like 8 kids to the Who show at the Barclays Center, and we got to go to the sound check and got to go to a special VIP party, and we met Pete Townshend's brother. We didn't get to meet them, but we did meet Pete Townshend's brother who plays in the touring band, and Joan Jett played and stuff, so it was pretty cool. We had not too long ago Bruce Springsteen's drummer Max Weinberg came by the school.
Oh,
so
yeah.
pretty sweet.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's up, Rich?
Hello, everybody.
What's going on, Rich?
Do you know
when
Rich?
I found out power on tonight, I needed to hear it at least, if not join it.
All right. Awesome.
Right on.
Rich, that's nice of you to finally join the show. I mean, aren't you really good friends with Scott Hatch? And he was on our show. You weren't.
Josh, didn't you hang around a little bit late that night?
Yeah, maybe not. No.
Maybe you didn't, because I actually did join in late that night.
My bad.
Well, this is the first time I've seen or heard from you, so I don't know what to.
It was off, Cliff, because I didn't want you to hear the stories I had to tell about you.
Well, that's okay. Do you know how much you're starting to look like Anton LaVey?
No, I don't.
You're really starting to look like him, which is not a good thing. Because, he's...
In case you don't know, Richard Murphy...
Are you saying that he's evil looking, or what? That's crazy.
I'm trying to introduce you here, Rich.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, Josh. I'm going to shut up.
Murphy
guess who called while we've been on here? You guys probably remember Chad Militia. So you just called.
Oh, he should get on here too.
I'm going to text him right now and let him know. But he just called me and left me a message. I don't know if that's what he's calling about.
Yeah.
Super cool. Well, this is Rich Murphy. He and I have known each other since before college. So we were hanging around. Hey, Keithy. We were hanging around in it would have been like 10th and 11th grade. So we've known each other since back then. So since I was like 15 and 16.
Dang.
But he's mostly known for being the guy that does the hand claps on a couple songs.
Wow. The hand claps really made it, man. They really made it.
Record too.
Huh?
So, Rich, I've known you for 30 years.
Yeah, dude.
Think about that. That's crazy. Okay, let's get back to
I
Bill.
know.
Is
Hey,
that
Bill,
Keithy? Do
one
I
of your
see
super
Keith? Do I
fans,
see
Keithy
Keith there?
Huntington, is here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see him there.
I have a question for Bill, real quick.
Boy, here we go.
You know, I have a question. This is Keith's gonna love this. Do you know who Keithy Huntington is? I really hope you do.
I do.
Okay, because he is the biggest tooth and nail nerd on the planet, and
I'm
always has been.
I'm
That's probably debatable.
You can explain it better.
You what?
Did you say you could explain it better?
No, I said that's probably debatable.
debatable.
Man, I don't think so. I disagree with that.
He's a hero to me because he posted one of the only existing decent video footage of my band playing ever. So
yeah,
he's good by me.
And he's probably seen you play 10 times, maybe more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kept morphine records afloat.
Nice.
So, oh yeah.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Nice.
That's awesome.
You didn't do a good enough job, evidently.
So,
I tried.
Bill, do you have any kids?
I don't.
You don't have any kids?
No, my.
Not going down that superhighway?
Yeah. No, there seems to be enough. If there's a shortage, then call me up. I'll be happy to contribute. Last I checked, there's no shortage of kids going around.
That's true. I've got 2 and Mike has 3.
That's
so.
all my entire Instagram feed is just pictures of kids and animals and what
I don't think
happened.
there's any more room in New Jersey for any more people anyway.
I think you're right.
And Brian's jumping in here. Who's
What's
Brian?
up?
Hey, Brian.
What's up?
Your picture is you playing guitar. Who are you? What do you do?
Hold on.
There he is.
What's up, guys?
All right. Well, we'll move along. He's
Don't
shy.
be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's just old people.
It's old people that look remarkably the same as they did. Though you literally don't look any different from when I first met you.
Just glasses. That's it.
Yeah, you don't look any different at all. Nothing. And Mike doesn't look any different at all. I look a little older, but not much. Keithy looks exactly the same. It's amazing.
He does look the same.
No, he doesn't
like
wear the giant
suspended in
jeans
time.
anymore. He used to wear those giant jeans that would you could fit 5 people into.
You guys never saw any of that though, because that
I did. We did.
Like Jinko or something?
that weaned off before I even really started. Like the moment I got High School Rock, like a week later, I went and bought Levi's 501s, and it was all downhill from there.
Hey, Scott! Scott Hatch is here. What's up, man?
Oh,
Hey,
nice. What's up, dude?
Awesome.
how's it going?
It's officially a party.
That's right.
Yeah, we
All
got
the label head
we
honchos
got
get to talk.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we got room for
Hey,
one more. Somebody
Hey,
better-
just so you know, Scott, I have
Hey, Billy.
Yes.
I was just going to quick say that I'm listening your podcast, Bill, and I think Scott Hatch needs to be on there sometime for sure.
He's on the docket. It's been discussed.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Rich, your connection is horrible. You should stop talking.
I'm on my phone, man. I'm going to try to keep quiet for the most part.
Yeah, keep it down, would you?
Might be me talking normal.
Now, Rich, there is a mute. Even if you're on your phone, there is a little mute
Here, let me help you with that.
press.
let me help you with that. Oh.
I'm so excited to see Scott Hatch right now. I'm gonna take a picture.
Hey, that's why I dialed in, man.
I mean, I don't want to play favorites or anything, but he looks great.
It does.
Thanks, man. You look great too. It's great to see you.
You too.
That was
Scott,
the old
don't
Drexel
forget-
U days right there.
I know, dude. It's all coming together. I should
Yeah,
call
totally.
Chris from Everdown, and we could just recreate the show right here for everybody.
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, that reminds me. Bill,
Yes.
have you seen the picture floating around about the supposed POD, blindside, living sacrifice?
That's got to be fake. That's
Inside tour?
I haven't seen it. What is it?
Well, supposedly, the bands involved, POD, Blindside, Living Sacrifice, The Crucified, somebody else, are sharing this flyer of a supposed Warriors 3 tour.
Oh,
And
really?
you should get Blenderhead on that.
Nice.
What
I don't-
language are you guys talking about in?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
understand.
I saw that, Keithy. I don't think it's real because it looks like a terrible flyer. Terrible.
Yeah, it looks like a terrible flyer, but
Yeah,
it's POD, so what do you expect? All their flyers are terrible.
What was it, made in Microsoft Paint?
They are a big fan of the Photoshop smear button.
I mean, who wants to go to that tour when you can go see him with the Insane Clown Posse? That's really what you should be asking. Yeah.
Why would you want to go to any tour at this point? You've seen it all a million times.
Yeah.
Crucified.
I feel, but actually, Blindside just played here in New York, and I had to miss it. I was kind of bummed, actually.
Do you enjoy watching shows, Bill, at this point in your life?
You know what? I'll be honest. I go out maybe a half a dozen times a year, and it's usually for bands that formed like before the year 1990. Like,
Right.
except like I went to see Civ recently in the city.
Yeah.
So, trying to think of shows I went in the last couple of years. Adolescence. I go see the Dropkick Murphys every year on one of their New York St. Patrick's Week shows. I try to go see that every year. But yeah, like Off, somebody like that. I actually got to hang out with Dimitri from Off at the School Rock Conference in Vegas, and I was super pumped.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you live in Jersey now. That's crazy to me that you now live in the area where we were, making our bones.
I know, dude. I live
it's
8 miles from New York City, man.
Man,
We could have been playing with. Scott could have been booking Element and Blenderhead and Chris.
I know, dude. I actually see Danny Papa quite a bit.
What's he doing these days?
He's he was a school history teacher, but now he's an administrator, and then he runs he's like the student advisor person for like a anti-human trafficking campaign. He's actually testified before Congress and stuff. Crazy. He's
You mean, in other words, he hasn't done anything?
No, nothing at all. Other than testifying before Congress, he's just.
But that's the part that's not really anything that I'm talking about. But I will say, I did catch him when he was on your when he was on your podcast. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And he still sounds like the exact same guy, but he sounds a lot more confident now. He sounds a lot less
a little more confident.
Yeah.
That was like your second or third episode. That was early, right?
It was pretty early on, yeah. I mean, not that I'm.
What? Mark Solomon was your first, right? Did you guys?
Ethan was my first. Ethan.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yep. Look, there's a cat there. Scott's got a cat.
Yeah. His name's Oscar. He's
Hi,
a big
Oscar.
fan.
What's up, Oscar?
He listens to your podcast every week.
Oscar is killing it.
Just so you know, Scott, I keep trying to convince Mike to let you do the vinyl for Rocket to Ramonia, but he keeps saying no.
Oh, dude, pink vinyl, it'll be hot.
I know. So now, you know what? Bill's here. You can ask him.
He just wants his vinyl on the same shelf with Sin Disease. That's all he's trying to do.
Exactly.
You can press it as pink vinyl as long as when people put it on an actual record player, it doesn't play anything.
Well, here's the thing.
Blank vinyl.
Oh, man.
Then I'm okay with it.
It's the
really
perfect
doesn't like
album
that
to be on vinyl. It's the perfect album to be on vinyl because it's not like people are really listening to it. I think people just own vinyl. Are they really listening to it? Like, really listening?
I'm listening to it.
Yeah, I'm listening to it all the time, man.
I'm still listening.
Far be it from me to back up Cliffy, but I do not own a turntable, but I do have a few records back here.
Exactly. It's like, you just listen to it, if you have a decent master.
Wait a second.
Decent master.
I even got Ryan Clark's new project with Jason Martin. It's still in the shrink wrap.
Right.
Nice.
But let's put this.
It's a piece of free product for us to sell.
A free? No. Wait.
That people will buy.
Did you buy any of those records?
No, they were all given to me.
That's because our fans will buy Rocket to Harmonia on vinyl. Yes,
And they will expect to put it on a turntable and hear it.
I can't wait to get that.
Hey, the same people who can put it on a turntable and hear it are the same people that can buy the 1, 2, 3, 4 box set on iTunes and listen to it anyway. It's extremely easy to get.
Yeah, but that was a one-time mistake. We don't need to repeat it twice.
One-time mistake? I'm gonna break that all apart and re-release them as individual releases in January. What are you talking about?
I can't believe the fortuitousness of this, but I think Scott will enjoy this cassette that was sitting on my desk.
Oh, amazing.
What do you think about that? And then I got.
That's great.
I've also got this sitting here. Well, don't know.
Yes.
On green cassette.
Oh,
yeah, buddy.
Nice.
Don't
They
know.
stole our old beans.
Yeah, that's great.
Our beans.
If we want to get really like deep cut, we can go to the Veronica
Oh yes.
Yes.
All right.
Those aren't deep cuts. Those are all
everybody.
after
That's all I got. Thanks for coming. I do also actually have a postcard sitting here from Ian Mackay. I don't know if you guys.
Who's that?
Oh, come on.
He started this small little local music label in the District of Columbia called Discord. It's a little postcard.
Yeah, I know, dude. I'm only kidding.
They're BFFs.
Although I do not like any of the bands on that label. I was never like my kind of music.
That's okay.
I know it was your kind of music. You really, really got schooled in that kind of stuff. But
did.
like to me, once that kind of music came around, the hooks and pop got out of music, and so I wasn't able to really, I wasn't able to really just connect with it.
Is that Joe down there? With that big fancy? Who's that with the fancy microphone, the Rode microphone down there?
It's Brian.
Oh, Brian.
Brian,
What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
Let's kind of go down the line here.
He's got the nicest gear of all of us here.
He's got amazing gear.
Bill, you were on my show, man. You were on the Meltdown.
Oh yeah. Hi.
What's up? Yeah,
I didn't get to see you when we did that.
That's
now
true.
I see you.
I got some pretty good gear over here.
It's legit.
So let's go through and have everybody introduce who they are. Brian, talk to us. Who are you? Where are you from?
I'm from DC, currently living in Philadelphia. Yeah, currently stay-at-home dad and hosting some podcasts, doing some music journalism. So.
Stay-at-home dad?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like your wife makes a lot of money?
Yes. We moved to Philadelphia for her job, so I left my job to...
High five, dude, right here.
You know, actually, you know who else? I don't want to interrupt the introductions here, but you know who else did that is someone a lot of you guys know, and that's Sean O'Donnell from Dogwood, lives not too far from me here in Morristown, and he moved because his wife got a job here. And he also is a stay-at-home dad with 2 kids.
It's a good gig.
Sean, which one is he? Is he the singer?
He played guitar. And then he was in that band, Reeve Oliver, and then later he played
Right, so he's the blonde hair guy that they got later on, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I know who he is.
Yep.
Right
so there you
go. He was talking crap about us on tour one time.
Moving down the line here, who's next?
Everyone talk crap about you.
Not me! About us! Not me! I know everybody talk crap about me.
No, let's move down the line. I haven't seen this dude in John Lawler next on the list there. When did we last see you, man?
I mean, it's been a long time.
2002 or something?
Yeah, probably.
Did you call him John Lawler?
That's his name, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But that's Katie's brother.
I know it's Katie's brother, but we've known this John Lawler for longer, actually.
Oh. Right on, that's cool.
He used to book us in around the Philly suburb area, I guess you could say, right? Like Exton and stuff.
Exton.
Oh yeah, those shows. Right, I remember that. Those 2 brothers used to come see us there all the time. That was when it was that big, noisy, huge, terrible sounding room, right?
Well,
yes.
Hold on. Did you book the final show that Cliff did after like they got in the big fight and stuff? Was that your show?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was because I was in.
I was in my at-bat show. I don't know if it was the show that I booked or not.
A big fight.
Was that when I left the band? Is that what you're talking about?
The band and him and
Mike.
Yeah.
So we can officially blame John Lawler for that fight then.
Way to go, John.
I think we can blame me, but that's okay.
Just kidding, John.
It's cool.
So Josh, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
Who, me?
Yeah, we're going down the line, man.
Oh well, yeah. In my view, you're down the line, but I guess we're.
Hey, just for clarity's sake, for the viewership, the million plus people that are watching this right now, when they watch it on YouTube, it is in alphabetical order from the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen.
Yes.
So Billy would be probably second. I'm first because I'm AA. And then Billy would be second, and then you guys figure out the rest. But
Mike's a cheater, man.
I'm number 2.
Hey, let's go right to let's go right to North Dakota. We haven't heard from him in a while. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Margo.
How's it going?
We haven't seen you in a while.
He's kind of funny looking.
Yeah.
He's the only booking agent in North Dakota.
In Fargo, yeah. Russ, man, how about
he's a man of a lot of words.
No, Russ, I'm really glad you're here. I thought that we offended you somehow because you were here every week for like 3 or 4.
Does he look like he could even be offended?
I don't know, man.
He never has anything but a smile on his face. You cannot offend that guy.
No. I've just had some stuff going on, so.
Okay.
Cool.
He was busy putting somebody in a wood chipper or something.
That's right. Did you get a job in trucking yet?
No.
No? Isn't that's the only industry in Fargo, isn't it, these days?
Oh, no. Fargo is like the Silicon Valley of the Midwest.
Really?
We have the second largest Microsoft campus.
Wow, I
Crazy.
did not know that.
There's a few other things. Of course, we got the university. There's a huge ag. Of course, North Dakota, we've got farms. So
That big Paul Revere thing, though, from the movie, that's not in Fargo. Just FYI.
That's like Brainerd or something, right?
yeah.
Hey, that was still a good movie, especially, that was a good movie.
Yeah. I don't know. It is a good movie. And the show is really good, too. Very,
I've never seen the show. It's good.
it was cool. Yeah, it's good. It's on Max.
Hey, Rich Murphy, here's your chance. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
He's muted.
Dude, I had to turn the volume back on.
Whoa.
I'm a photographer, and I've done for a long
That is
time.
really
Oh,
tricky,
man.
man.
It's amazing. I feel like I'm listening to, like,
It's like so lo-fi, bro.
I feel like I'm listening to a Kinks demo.
Bill,
My name is Rich Murphy, and I love to yell into the phone while I'm walking around aimlessly.
I'm in a parking garage.
It's amazing.
I'm in my basement. I'm sorry, you caught me off guard. I'll go back upstairs. So Bill, the thing is, I've been listening to your show, and Cliff and I haven't talked about this yet,
Okay.
but the stuff, like especially when you did the interview with Mark,
Yes.
like one of your early shows.
The world's
When you
longest
guys
interview
were
with Mark Solomon, yes.
Exactly, Mark Solomon. When you were talking about that stuff, I was so shocked at how, I feel like when Cliff and I were young, we thought that, not necessarily that we were alone in finding new music and getting to talk to these people, but that, we were still kind of out there. And the way that you guys talked, it was like Cliff and I when we were teenagers, and, not the only way we were able to connect with people were through magazines, like through these zines and stuff like that. And, what you're doing with the podcast is pretty interesting because it's almost like a document of history, verbally, which is all that we've ever done, as well, is talk about it. And you're actually getting it down. So thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a cool thing. It's a very cool
just
thing.
Being lazy and
So-
having my friends on. I hope to have some actual guests at some point.
Rich, man, you literally sound like a Black Lips record. Please mute yourself again. It's terrible.
He had a good run there. He got out what he needed to get out. I appreciate it.
I know. Like, he thanked you, but it was hard to even follow it, man, and I love you. But he's right. I think what he was saying was that you have a podcast where you talk, and that's just like him. And that was, something like that.
Yep. Summed it up beautifully.
It's been about an hour. We should at least give some plugs here for the Urban Achiever show, right? Because
I don't care.
That's what Rich
if you want.
trying to talk about.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a big fan of it. Cliff.
I have a podcast. It's Urban Achiever Show, urbanachievershow.com if you want to download or stream it, and it's on iTunes and Stitcher and TuneIn Radio. It's on all the.
And it's I before E except after C, so Achiever is
ACHIEVE.
very good.
There you go.
Because it's not after a C, it's after an H.
Yeah,
So
and then
don't
I
spell it
also
wrong, people.
produce and edit Mark Solomon's show, I Never Was, ineverwas.com, and then I'm actually going to be working on another show with Brandon Reich from Dead Poetics. Going to do a graphic design one that I'm working on, and then a coffee one also. I think my buddy Joel's doing a coffee podcast, so if you like coffee.
Nice.
Is that going to be like Jerry Seinfeld?
Totally, yeah.
Totally, dude, totally.
You left the coffee on, it's burnt, it was you.
Well, I got a question because
Yes.
I listened to that Bad Christian podcast, which is another quite popular one out there in the world.
If you're not sure which one you're listening to, it's the one that sounds like the cast of Hee Haw hosted. That's that one.
Yeah, it does, yeah. Cast of P.L. So I listened to the one that you were on,
Yeah.
which was awesome. That was the first one I listened to like all the way through. And
Thanks.
then I had a drive out to D.C. last week, so I was, struggling for something to listen to for my 3-hour drive, and I found the one where they interviewed Michael Fleet, which was also really, really interesting.
I thought that one was really good, actually.
Said Michael Sweet from Striper?
Yeah.
Striper, yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
He was
And
really cool.
when you guys were looking for records and showing your set tapes and stuff, I was up looking for my Striper record because I have one of To Hell with the Devil. That's the original artwork, which he talked about on that podcast.
He did, yeah.
He banned and pushed in stores, and they had to go to the one that everybody else has. But somehow I found that original version, I think in Europe, and I bought it. But anyway, I don't know those guys, but I did want to ask you, were they on? They were in a band, right? Were they a Tooth and Nail band, or who are those dudes?
Striper?
No. Yeah, they were on Tooth and Nail.
Who are the Bad Christians?
I was gonna say I saw Striper on the To Hell with the Devil tour in San Diego at the San Diego Opera House, and I had a red Striper To Hell with the Devil T-shirt for a long time.
Dude, that was the show I saw, the same tour I saw him in Pennsylvania, and my mom bought me the same T-shirt.
Well, there you go. It's like we were separated at birth, except I only have one monitor and I don't have a Marshall stack or whatever you got going there. I just have my grandma's old piano. That's all I have.
A Marshall stack? What are you talking? Oh no, that's a PV Windsor, man.
Oh, that's right. That's right. PV.
It sounds good though. It sounds remarkably good.
The dudes in Bad Christian is Matt the guitarist, and Toby the singer from the band Emery.
Okay, so they were Tooth and Nail, right?
And then their friend Joey Svensson, who's a pastor with Toby. He's the worship leader at Seacoast Church in North Carolina. Yep.
Were they post your era?
The Week's End, which is their first record, came out toward the tail end of my time there. But I'm know those guys because when I was at Zambui, we did all their merchandise in their online store and all that stuff. So I saw them a bunch. Every time they came through Nashville, we'd hang out.
Zambui, is that the guy from Living Sacrifice's T-shirt company?
It was. It's no longer exists, but it was Bruce from Living Sacrifice and Mike Lewis from Puller and For Love Not Lisa, who's my best friend. It was their company, and then they merged with this other company, and then eventually Mike got fired from his own company. It's a long story, but yeah, they're both still in merch. Mike's still doing merchandise stuff, and Bruce works for Go Merch that does Fall Out Boy and all that kind of stuff. He works for them now.
That's cool.
And they're based in New York, so I see Bruce quite a bit. Actually, he comes to town probably once a quarter or something. I see him a lot.
I saw a YouTube clip of him playing a Living Sacrifice show where they got their old bass player and singer back and sang a song.
Nice. Yeah.
That's kind of neat.
He's still keeping it going.
That was I really loved that first Living Sacrifice album, but I've just never been able to get into anything else they ever did. Because that first one just sounds like Slayer, and so it just I like it, I dig it. But then all the other ones where they
Well, yeah. What can I say? I don't know.
Very, very talented, man. There's nothing to say.
I like.
It's just an opinion.
One of their most recent records is one of my favorite records of theirs. Ghost Thief, I think, is really good. But I'm not really a metal guy, but I think it's pretty brutal for middle-aged dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like to tease Bruce on his Instagram. My favorite thing to do is just to tag everything with hashtag so metal, because it's always pictures of him and his really cute daughters picking flowers or at a pumpkin patch or something, and then I'm always so metal.
Right.
Bruce.
Well, their guitarist Rocky's in this band. I don't remember what they're called, but they're
Soul
a
Embrace?
thug metal band. Yeah, Soul Deus or whatever. And so they follow me on Instagram, and they like every picture of my daughter. It's funny because they're thug metal, and it's we like the cute little picture of your daughter. It's
nice.
Great.
Participating. That's good. All
It's
these,
Slayer,
these pictures down here are freaking me out. There's a weird Facebook icon now, and then Cliffy's completely disappeared. He went off somewhere.
Cliff went away.
Oh,
and
thank God. There's the top of Scott's head. I feel a little better now.
Joel joined us. Joel, do you have a microphone? Can you speak?
Is that my friend Joel from Canada? Can you
Joel Martin.
Is it Joel Martin?
name is Joel Martin.
That's my boy, dude. But I guess he doesn't have a way to talk.
Yeah, that's going to be a hindrance of
All the way from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and he can't say anything. All we can do is just talk about him, and he can't respond.
Well, it's probably just the Canadian government.
Let's just end everything we say with A, so he'll feel better. He'll feel more comfortable. So we're talking about Bruce from Living Sacrifice, eh? And ketchup, chips, yada yada. This is killing him right now. He wants to be so badly to say something on here.
Yeah.
Joel was is a long time, really super good friend of mine, a good dude. So he's supported pretty much everything I've ever done in my life. It's a great guy.
So Joel, if you can find a way to speak, that'd be great. A phone would be perfect if you can log back in on a phone.
They still haven't,
Especially, I mean,
they still haven't figured out the internet in Canada. It's like,
Yeah, they're a little bit behind.
still working on it. He still has a landline, so I don't know what they're
Dude.
doing up there.
Rich Murphy talking was the most, I think, the coolest thing that's ever been on this show.
It
literally,
finally settled into like a stationary place.
Really?
Still muted, so maybe he doesn't know how to do the unmute thing.
Well, I think it might just be that he's talking too loud or something. I don't know, but
I'm rooting for Joel right now.
crazy.
Perhaps.
It literally sounds like a black lip track.
Scott would need to unmute himself to speak because he was moving around, so I had to make the silence.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Admit I was washing dishes, man.
There's something. Oh, nice. What does that shirt say? Something about killing somebody?
Well, when you're on the bay,
Killing the Feldman?
I think it says killing the audio quality of this hangout.
that's right. hey, Rick.
Oh my gosh. What's happening right now?
Are you on a flip phone? Are you on a flip phone?
He reminds me
I
of
feel
like
like
a dad.
I feel like I'm in the studio when our guitar player was like, "Guys, listen, I'm talking into the pickups of my guitar. Doesn't it sound awesome? Check this out. Let's try this on here. I'm marching down the road to the castle, to the castle at the man of the army."
Oh, it is amazing.
Just gonna have a little water here.
Help if I would.
Nothing's gonna help,
Emos.
man. I don't know what phone you're on, but I would advise just watching the show, my friend. I love you, but it's not a good deal.
I feel like all these cool shirts in here, killing the Feldman or whatever he's got. I should share my I got my Dave Quiggle King Herman shirt going on here. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
When it's dark, Pee-wee's eyes glow, and his glasses right there.
That's very nice.
I love that. I really want that shirt. I can't get it now.
It was one of those limited edition T Fury things.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna read from your new book. Can I do that?
Well, I guess so. If you want to put everybody to sleep.
Yes.
I like this. It's page 41. Bill has a new book coming out, and there's somebody else on the show right now who is mentioned right here. So I'm just gonna read this. July 8th, 1995. What's the name of the book, Bill?
Bottle Breaker.
Bottle Breaker.
Yep.
Coming out soon. But
It's
you can get-
available for free as like a PDF right now, and it's going to be on Kindle, and then eventually there'll be a hard copy thing of it.
Right. So day 24. This is of your MXPX tour, first big U.S. tour, right?
Yep.
Is it cool if I read
Only,
this?
yeah, I don't care. I mean, I feel bad for everybody else, but they'll get through
Sure.
it. We'll get through it together.
I'm a really good reader. Ready?
All right,
So,
sweet.
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, day 1. We arrived in Philly before noon and drove straight to Drexel University. We hooked up with the promoter, Scott Hatch, who runs Burnt Toast Vinyl. And Scott.
Yeah.
We loaded in and went back to the apartment to take showers and a nap. I shaved my head and my face. I'm doing everything I can to beat the heat. It was really hot. I didn't sleep very well. One of the Scots brought us all pizza and Coke for lunch. We went back to the venue around 5 p.m. Everdown showed up, and I had completely forgotten about hooking them up and getting them on the show. Those guys are so cool and nice about everything. The promoter had them play anyway and gave them $75 for guests. I'm assuming Scott's the promoter?
Yeah. Well, it was Scott and Scott, so you're fine,
Okay,
right?
so one of the Scots, yeah.
Yeah.
The kids really got into our set. We sold $685 worth of merchandise, the second highest ever. There were about 200 people there. The opening band was Cricket, later called the Huntingtons.
Oh my gosh!
We got paid our full guarantee plus $100 extra for lodging. They, Punk Rock Scott Productions, were so good to us. They also took us out to dinner at Taco Bell. After the show, we went out.
Living the high life, everybody.
He's reading this.
Taco Bell.
Yeah.
He's reading this. What's great is that he's reading it with like the energy and feel of like a fifth or sixth grader. Like it sounds like a kid talking. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
Scott's such a good guy. He's even covering my mistake.
Downtown Philadelphia. It was pretty weird. They made us pay in advance, and the food was overpriced and horrible. Bad neighborhood, I guess. I met a rent-a-cop there who was really nice. Later, I had to drive the van and trailer over the curb to get out because we were boxed in by people in this huge hip-hop show next to Drexel. It was a great evening. I don't know. I enjoyed that little section of your book, Day 24, and I highly recommend everyone going to the Urban Achiever Show and getting it for free, or waiting until it comes out and paying for it.
Yeah, if you go to bottlebreakerbook.com, you can just download it for free, and it's on Noise Trade on their book section also. It's literally, I'll show you. I found this is the actual journal. It was in a bunch of stuff in here, and as you can see, I basically just transcribed what I wrote in there. So I didn't really ever intend for it to be a book necessarily. Like I definitely didn't write it like, hey, this is going to be a book. Like I just kind of wrote down stuff. I was telling the guys earlier before we were live, this is how we told everybody where the shows were. It's a postcard we mailed to everybody. Speaking of things that old people remember. One of the shows on there was canceled in DC, so that never even happened. But yeah.
Remember when you liked a girl and you would write her a letter in the mail?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I taped a bunch of stuff in here too, so there's a bunch of like I wish I was better at scanning things, but there's all kinds of little like I taped in little ticket stubs and things from different shows.
Awesome. Cliffy and Mike, I don't know if you saw the cover of that journal, but there was a Dwarf Records return mailing address on the cover of that.
Let's see. I don't know if you can see
you can relive the high life days of cricket.
That was the high life, man.
Right
Dwarf
there,
Records.
Dude. Yeah.
Hey, Joel made it on, man. There he is.
I'm here.
Hey.
Look at that. He's on a phone, but you can actually hear what he's saying.
Joel Martin. What's up, dude?
Hey, I've been meaning to call you, and I saw you were on here with a bunch of dudes, so
nice. That probably sounds really weird out of context, but that's awesome.
Hello, Mr. Hatch, and everyone else.
Hello, how's it going?
Hey, dude.
Good. How's it going, eh?
Ah, see? I knew it.
So are you friends with Andy, who was in our band for a while and used to be on this show? He lives in Canada. You guys got to be friends, right?
Right.
Oh,
neighbors.
Around the corner. Yeah. His igloo is not far from mine.
Hey, is Canada still like 10 to 15 years like America 10 to 15 years ago? Because I remember every time I would go there in like the early 90s, and there wasn't like McDonald's didn't have styrofoam anymore, but like you'd be in Canada and you'd go to McDonald's and there would be styrofoam, and it would be like, oh wow, this is like 1982 America. It was very cool.
Well, they still have they still have milk in bags. I know that.
Absolutely.
Right on. Cool,
Don't
man.
let it be about me, though. We're here to talk about William Power.
Are we?
I think so. I don't know that anyone joined this to talk about Canada.
Who's William Power?
I don't know.
He goes by Willie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Willie.
Oh, that's right, Cliff. You wanted it. Why now, Billy?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've always known you as Bill Power, and then all of a sudden now you're Billy. What's up, man? You're like reverting to a kid.
If everybody's in a good, happy, levitous mood, this will just put a big. It'd be like someone died on the show.
Okay.
Yeah. The short version is basically like my whole family always called me Billy, And then when I got into high school, I was like, call me Bill. I'm old now, and I'm not a little kid, and call me Bill. And so I was Bill from like high school on, and then but my family, like my aunts and uncles and my grandparents and everybody, always called me Billy my whole life. And then they would always go Billy, and then go, oh, I'm sorry, and then correct themselves or whatever. And a few years ago, my grandfather, who I was super close to my grandparents, they're basically like parents to me when I was a kid growing up. And my dad called me and said my grandpa was kind of like getting to the end there. So I flew out to Arizona, and he was basically on his deathbed, and he was really excited to see me. And he just kept saying Billy, 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 like over and over and over again to me while he was holding my hand. And he died like the next day. And I kind of just decided, my dad had written, he couldn't see very well, so my dad wrote on like a dry erase board he had by the bed, Billy is here. And then I just decided after that to go back to Billy, kind of in his honor.
Oh,
so.
That's cool, man. And how old were you at that point?
That was just a couple years ago, so like 45 or something. Yeah, it was in the last
Do you
few years.
realize how insane it is to be 45 and still have a grandparent alive? That's incredible. No, that's a huge blessing, dude. That's wonderful.
Yeah, so.
Most people are in their 20s if they're lucky to still have their grandparents. I mean, my grandfather died when I was 7. My grandmother died when I was 24, something like that.
Crazy.
I know. So
there
that's
you go.
you're very lucky. How old was he when he died? Was he like 90?
Yeah, he's pretty old.
That's good.
Early 90s, yeah. And my grandma went like within a year after that. So
Yeah.
that's how it goes usually.
Right on, man. Well.
Anyway, womp womp.
No, I think that's a great reason. I think that's a great reason. You know, my last name is Walker now.
Yeah. I just call you Cliffy Huntington, but whatever.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, no, I changed my last name before I got married to my grandfather's last name because he had 4 daughters and no sons, and so they all married, and then his name didn't continue. And I've always like I look exactly like I would be my mother's much younger brother, not as much her son, because I look like I came from her parents. And so I just always felt that connection to them, and yeah. So there you go.
Joel is so psyched right now that he got in here.
Yeah.
His face, he's pumped. It's like I stayed up late for this.
Well, hey, it's people talking, hanging out. So Scott, what's your next record, man? Are you putting out records anymore, Billy?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually. I recorded like a whole album's worth of demos last year, but I have to put vocals on it and finish it.
What kind of music?
Oh, I don't know. Something loud and punkish.
You have a project with Chris from Everdown, right?
Yeah, he's supposed to play the actual drums on it. So
he just like him or you just updated like the Facebook page.
We did. That's true. That's all happening.
Right on. Is there a name for that?
It's called Spoken in Tongues from the Dag Nasty song.
Right on, dude.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I went to that Facebook, but there was nothing on there.
It's all very mysterious.
Yeah, really.
See, Spoken in Tongues, I'm thinking I'm gonna get like spoken word Henry Rollins album or something.
Right. Yeah.
Or like something super charismatic.
Something. Yeah. All in glossolalia. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So eventually. I'm hoping to put some reverse pressure on myself by posting stuff like that, but it hasn't worked so far. So I don't know why I thought it would work this time. But
hey,
I keep trying.
We had a new album that was supposed to come out in 2012.
Oh well, I feel better already. Thank you. I feel better already.
I don't know if you guys, if Mike or Cliff realized this, but I went and like updated the band Facebook page a month ago. Because I noticed that it said on there, new album coming out in 2012 or something. And I was like, I better get rid of that. I think I left it there and I just made it say, oops, that didn't happen or something like that. But yeah.
Hey, did any of us reach out to Kim Shattuck yet?
From the Muffs?
Yeah, I haven't. Have you? Mike? Josh?
No.
Come on, you're supposed to be the one that makes all this stuff happen.
I've gotten like every single guest we've ever had on the show.
Oh, it's about to get real.
I make the flyers, I do everything. You like that flyer, Bill?
I did. It was like Jack Black with my head on there.
Right.
I asked, that was my idea for the flyer, and I asked, can somebody make a flyer maybe like the School of Rock thing, but with Bill's head on it, and no one said crickets. No one says anything.
That was awesome.
I asked Keithy Huntington, and he was like, "How much are you going to pay me?" And so I made it on PowerPoint.
How much? MS Paint or something?
Hey, don't diss MS Paint.
Hey, that's
a very MS Paint reference of this show.
I'm here to help. Chad Pearson says to tell you that he loves you.
He should come on. See what he looks like now. What's he look like now?
The same.
Really?
He doesn't have hair, so that's usually what goes.
Well, on his head, but I believe mountain man.
What, does he have hair on his balls? What are you talking about?
A giant beard.
Dang.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so Scott, are you muting yourself? Because I am not muting you, but I keep getting this message that pops up on my screen that says, "You muted Scott Hatch," and I am not doing that. So, are you doing that to yourself? Gotta unmute yourself so I can hear you.
Yes, I was nodding my head. You couldn't see.
All right, cool.
Sorry, when I have to cough or something.
No, that's all good because it keeps saying you muted Scott Hatch. I'm like, I totally didn't do that.
Way to police yourself, dude.
I would mute Rich Murphy because he sounds like he's in an industrial complex.
Dude.
But
I think he probably muted himself because he didn't want to be picked on.
No, not Rich is back.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Thanks, Rich.
He literally looks and sounds like Anton LaVey. It's crazy.
That guy is
a hand clap.
Well,
He's in like a nuclear bunker or something over there.
Can I defend Rich Murphy for a second? So Billy, what Rich was trying to say is that he felt a kindred spirit when you start talking about all the old like Christian punk rock stuff, the connection with Mark, the bands in Southern California, like hearing all those stories, he realized that he and Cliffy kind of had the same experience on the East Coast and sort of realized that you guys probably had a lot of the similar interests and like were reading the same zines, you were looking for the same albums, all of those kinds of things. So I think he was just, giving you a high five and saying thanks for reminding him of that.
Dude, that's awesome. I think it's kind of not on purpose, but probably just because I've had on a lot of my friends and we have a similar kind of experience. But it's sort of I've kind of like I still cringe at the whole like anything Christian punk, Christian whatever. Like always kind of just still kind of makes me, I don't know, just feels like an antique or something. But I don't know. I'm kind of coming to peace with some of that stuff of just like the idea of like the singular, unique experience of being the youth group kid who loves the Ramones or something. Like that's kind of like a theme that sort of like has come out through a lot of the people. And I think hearing those stories and kind of maybe it's in it being unique, it's also a singularly weird like kind of thing where those kind of things don't seem like they would have ever come together for anyone. Like you go to church and you like the Dead Kennedys, like that's weird. So I think like anybody who is that person who kind of came up in punk, like I think Jeff, who was on my show from 90 Pound Wuss, he really kind of hit that one home with that kind of stuff. We just kind of feel like that kindred spirit, I think.
But it did happen. I mean, think about it. Altar Boy sold like 40, 50,000 records back then.
Yeah.
And as much as you hate it, Bill, like, without that tooth and nail in that Christian punk scene, like, I mean, I'm younger than you. Like,
yeah.
I was only allowed to listen to Christian music. So if there was some Splinterhead or Stavesacre or, whatever.
Yeah.
What the hell was I gonna listen to?
Yeah. I don't hate it. I guess I just didn't. Here's the reason. I'm never good at explaining this, but this is the best of an explanation as I can give. Is that I feel that it's dismissive by a lot of people. Like people that grew up around it that like it, like they think it's awesome and whatever. But when I was at Tooth and Nail and we had a lot of pushback from like people in punk zines and that kind of thing, that was the term they used to say it's not for me. Like it's sort of like they're dismissive of, oh, it's Christian punk or like whatever.
Right.
Like, that's not for me to listen to. So I guess like I still have that sort of association that it was used as a sort of a pejorative to say like, oh, that's not real punk, it's Christian punk. When like I feel like people like Mark and myself, like if you listen to an interview with them, it's like they were playing with DRI and like, Pantera and these like, Corrosion and Conformity, these legit bands. And like I grew up going to see the Circle Jerks and the Descendants the week of my 17th birthday. So we grew up in those scenes going to those shows. And And I felt like a lot of times that terminology was used to kind of marginalize us and make us feel like we weren't legitimately punk or not legitimately part of that scene. And I'm sure like you Huntington's fellows can relate to that in some sense also.
I can, but my whole feeling was just kind of a middle finger in the air to it all.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, screw you, man. I mean, this is my music and I love it. And I like listening to Altar Boys and Lifesavers and all that stuff as a kid.
Yep.
And I mean, I was a kid, lived in a small town. I didn't have any option to anything. It was like, my parents didn't. There wasn't any making me listen to anything. Those were my choices on my own.
Yeah.
So it's a little different than other people, but I mean, I was a Christian and I wanted to hear some certain things, and and went to campus life, Youth for Christ, and found out about Petra, and then found out about Resband, and then found out about Striper, and just kind of went from there. And it just when you're a small town kid,
nobody comes up more than Petra. Like Petra comes up on almost every episode of my show, and I never listened to them ever. That was like the thing that everybody listened to Petra.
Yeah, well, those records were enormous. Man, More Power to You was like platinum.
I don't know which, like, if it was your show, because, like, Bill, I mean, I guess
It's all blurring together.
I'm a really big fan, man. I listen to you when you're on other people's shows. I know you're on Mike Herrera's podcast. But somewhere along the line, I heard a show that you were on, and somebody said, if it was either you or someone else, somebody said the same thing that I've always said, where we weren't Christian enough for the Christians, but we were too Christian for the non-Christians. So stuck in the middle, and then that was it. That's where we're going to be. And once you embrace that, then you can continue on and have a 20-year plus career.
Yeah.
And just,
Right. I mean, for us, we were like, we didn't feel called by God to go be in a rock band and spread the gospel. We were in a rock band because we wanted to be in a rock band, and we felt comfortable writing songs like that with those kind of lyrics. And lyrics about nothing, but they weren't sinful. We weren't trying to swear and stuff like that because that's just not who we were. Yeah. So for us to give in to pressure from any label to talk more about Christ, it would have been selling out for us. And retrospectively, I'm super glad we never did that. It's funny that anybody would have looked at us and said, too Christian for me, when if you look at any of our songs and what we were about, we were the Queers and Screeching Weasel, but without swearing. I mean, but it was just like we were just normal guys. And
I remember you were like, now listen, Bill, it's no pool party tonight, and that's the end of it. It's not up for discussion.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we work in a line about baptism or something in there? I mean, there's like water.
Yeah, no. Well, it's just like, when we were on Flying Tart, we were getting really good reviews in Maximum Rock and Roll, and then we get on Tooth and Nail, and then instantly they act like we're some cheesy, lame thing, and it's like, give me a break. But it didn't. The trade-off was well worth it to us. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's good. So.
Scott became a picture. Oh, there he is. Now he's gone. Now he's back.
Scott, did you get a haircut, or is it just the headphones?
No, I'm here. I think I got a text message.
Right, but did you get like a haircut? Did you get a haircut?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay.
He's got headphones on, man.
Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah, I just didn't know. Like, couldn't tell. It's all good.
All my hair is falling out, man.
I don't want to make this awkward, but Scott looks better than everybody else.
True.
He just looks.
Thanks, man.
He looks fantastic. There's just something about him that's just really making me very comfortable right now. I felt pretty nervous.
It's the cat that I was petting.
Yeah, that might be it. And
I find the older I get, the more I look like Mike Knott. My head's huge.
Yeah.
My hair gets all ratty and weird.
Hey, you're a good-looking guy, man. Don't say that.
Cliff,
I'm hoping to have Mike Knott on, but did you guys know he had cancer?
He has cancer?
No, he had a heart. No, I'm sorry, he had a heart attack.
Oh.
That's what he had. Yeah.
That's not better, but.
I'm just gonna start making up stuff about people that you guys know about, and then we'll see how many things. And actually, this is funny. This is a true story. One time when I was working with Bruce at Zambui, he told me in secret that that the New Living Sacrifice record was going to be called "In Your Face, Devil," and and that was like an inside joke amongst the band, and I thought it was hilarious. And and so like secretly in my office, I updated their Wikipedia page to say that the New Living Sacrifice record coming out and blah 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 was going to be called In Your Face, Devil. And then about 2 or 3 days later, I heard Bruce go, "Bell!" I was like, "What?" It's like, "Did you update the Wikipedia page?" It's like, "Doug from Heaven's Metal just called me and asked me if our new record was called In Your Face, Devil." And John Dunn from Solid State's everyone's calling me and saying, "Is that really the name of your new record?" I was so excited. I spread
That's awesome.
official internet rumor.
Hey, Billy, do you know Josh Laurie?
Josh Laurie. Does he play bass with Mike Knott?
Yeah, he's like he kind of bankrolls a lot of the stuff that Mike doesn't do very much anymore, obviously, but he kind of just makes it all happen.
Yeah, he's the guy that messaged me to tell me about Mike. Actually, he was sending me some links about some stuff, and then I said I would love to talk to him, and he said that he had been sick but is better now, I guess.
Right on. Cool. He once healed me at Cornerstone of hoarse voice.
Oh, well, there
He
you
came
go.
up to me and he put his hand on my throat, and like the next day I could talk again. It was very weird.
Dude,
But
that's
like,
awesome.
it was very, very interesting. It was like I was like, what? But like, yeah, he did for real. No lie.
I feel like Joel's internet is frozen. Joel, would you like to ask a question?
I'm good.
He's just sitting there really still.
Just fascinated.
You're fascinated by what's happening right now?
Yeah.
By my big shiny head right here?
It's
I got a confession to make. I'm already regretting using my face as the cover of my podcast because now every time it's shared on Facebook or anything, I'm like, oh, look, it's my big, dumb, fat head. Everywhere I look, there it is. I feel like I should use some other artwork or Scott's face if I put Scott's face on there. And every time I'm like, oh, it's Scott. Yay.
Nice.
Feel so much better about that.
Hey, random question for Scott. Is the other Scott from Bill's book, is he still your friend? Is he around? Who's that guy?
Yeah, that would be my friend Scott Clinton, and he was my roommate during 95, 96, 97 when I was doing shows at Drexel. And
Nice.
so
I remember that guy.
yeah,
Scott Clinton.
Scott Clinton, and yeah, I see him all the time. In fact, he just recently broke his foot, so I went to go visit him because he couldn't go anywhere. So that was like a couple weeks ago. But yeah, he's doing well. He's married. He has 2 kids. Lives in Philadelphia.
Nice.
Works for Amtrak, sucking on the government's teeth. Cliff, you appreciate that?
Why would I appreciate that? Talk to Mike.
Nice.
But yeah, no. He works in New York in Penn
Really?
Station. Yeah, he's like the facilities manager
Are you
at Penn
serious?
Station. Yeah, so
I'm there
he,
all the time. I was just there.
Oh, maybe we could coordinate a little coffee break with it.
We should.
With you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll bring my
so,
gloves.
And so Scott and I really like did all of the shows, and Scott was like kind of my right hand man for a lot of it. If I needed somebody else to do stuff, he would step in and do all of that and help me flyer. And yeah, he was a good guy. He is a good guy.
Hey, Bill.
Yes.
Bill, who's the most famous person you've ever met in real life?
In my world or in the world in general?
In the world, anywhere.
Probably these days, like the 2 most famous would be Sinbad the comedian came into my school the other day. I guess he's pretty popular and well known. And then like he wanted to park in my parking lot because he was performing at the venue down the street. He just like suddenly was standing in front of my desk with like a towel on his shoulder like he always had, and it was like so. I'm like, is that Sinbad? Like. He's like, hey man, I'm parking in your parking lot. Is that cool? Like whatever. And then he came back and he was like talking to us about guitar and stuff because he plays music a lot actually. And then the other day, Max Weinberg wandered into my school to borrow some music stands, and it just so happened that my kids were doing a Springsteen show, and I was like, hey man, if you want to come by later, like they're gonna be practicing or whatever. And I was like, he's never gonna come back, and he actually came back and he played Hungry Heart with my kids from my school, like all the way through.
Awesome.
And so that was pretty amazing. But yeah, I definitely was like, holy crap, that's Max Weinberg. Like he introduced myself like I wouldn't know who he was. It was like
Right.
as he's putting out my hand, I'm like, oh my god, it's Max Weinberg. This is crazy.
The guy from Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, but from my world, probably the person that like, I mean, those are cool, but like I met Ian MacKaye when the Evens came through Nashville and got my picture taken with him. That's probably the most starstruck I've been. Him and then Jay Robbins from Jawbox, but that's like a different kind of world.
You know, we met Ice-T, right?
You did?
Yes, we met
Dude,
Ice-T,
that's
and when we were going to we were actually going to Tomfest, and we flew in, and he just happened to be like passing through that airport, going in. He had some big tab rap show that same weekend, and we took our picture with him and everything. And Mike and Josh met Ozzy Osbourne, dude.
Dude, that's awesome. That has to be the only Tomfest anecdote that involves Ice-T, I gotta say.
Well, yeah.
The Ice-T thing was at a rental car. We flew in. We were renting. Okay, so because we're poor, we were super poor. We were renting a U-Haul truck to drive from the airport to Tomfest, and Ice-T was renting 2 Jaguars for him and his boy to go to the rap show.
Sure.
Right.
So we were like, whoa, that's Ice-T, and they're like, what's up, man? He's like, hey, what's up, guys? He was super cool. You guys should come to the rap show tonight. We're like, well, we gotta get in this U-Haul. We gotta put 2 guys in the back of a U-Haul and drive to some festival an hour and a half away that you know nothing about.
Right. That's the infamous U-Haul where I tried to throw a big giant cup of soda out the window, but the window was rolled up and it slammed into the window, went all over Mike.
Busted all over
I'm sure he was stoked.
Mike Pierce, our drummer at the time. We were on flying chart at the time.
Someone sent me this the other day. I don't know if you can see that. I thought it was pretty funny.
Okay.
Yes. So that was those. Did you guys
That
meet somebody else really super famous too? When I wasn't there, were those the only 2?
Well, we ran into Travis Barker at a rest stop in Arizona.
Oh, that's right.
It was a 3-day streak, Mike. It started out. It was Travis Barker. The next day was Ozzy, and then the next day, to top it all off, we met the guy who was the kid in Last Action Hero. Also the kid from My Girl 2.
Hey, did I ever tell you guys that Tobey Maguire came to a Stivs concert when we played the Viper Room in California? He did. Tobey Maguire did. It was crazy.
Did you ever know that Tobey Maguire was the singer of the Huntingtons?
Weird.
Didn't know that? And hey, I met Bob Barker, right?
Bob Barker.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know what to say about that.
Right.
We've met some famous people, man.
It's time for Rich to give us some white noise.
I think we probably all met the Striper guys, right? Is there anybody here that's not met Striper?
I haven't met Striper.
You've never met me, really?
No,
Oh man.
never. No.
It's all about the famous people that you meet in this world. That's really what God has us here for, is to meet them.
Totally. Who said that?
Josh Blackway.
I think it was in your book. I read it in your book.
I do go to Justin Bieber's church. I keep hoping we'll run into each other in the lobby there.
So Bill, I grew up just outside of DC, so every summer there's the Fort Reno shows in DC that are free, and Fugazi used to play.
Oh
so
yeah.
one summer the Evens were playing and Henry Rollins was in town. So I was at the Whole Foods right next to the park, and I literally backed into Henry Rollins, getting a salad.
Dude,
he's less intimidating in person than you'd think he would be. He's short.
Yeah, he's not a big guy, right?
No, he's short.
You know what was really cool is when he was on. I loved it. Christy and I were watching the show he was on, the biker gang guys. What's that show called?
Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, Sons of Anarchy. Yeah. And he was on it that one season, and his son was named Cliff, and he kept calling him Clippy. And so it was like Henry Rollins is saying Clippy. It was very funny.
You should have made that your phone recording.
I know, I should have.
I don't know if this is the right place to do this, but I'd like to make a couple listening recommendations since it seems like a lot of you guys listen to different podcasts and the like. There's a podcast by the singer of the Canadian band Fucked Up. It's called Turned Out a Punk, or he says turned out a punk or something like that. That's how he says it. Anyway, his kind of premise is, the first question he always asks is, how did you get into punk? And he recently had Jason Homaker from Frodus, the drummer from Frodus, on. And I just listened to that yesterday, and it's a really, really awesome interview. And Jason's doing some really cool stuff where he's recording these Syrian, the early Christian Syrian chants and stuff, and then getting them mixed by John Agnello and stuff in the city. I was supposed to interview him over this weekend, but it didn't work out. But he comes
John
back here.
Agnello?
And his big band, Regents, is super killer.
Yeah, like he was in Jersey City, like mixing with John and stuff. And then, but anyway, that interview is really good. And then there was another one just in the first few minutes. It's really funny. Laura Jane Grace, I don't remember what her name was before. The singer from Against Me was on there.
Tom something.
Yeah, Tom, whatever his name is. Anyway, so it's the singer fucked up and the singer of Against Me, and they're talking about 90 Pound Wuss and MXPX.
Right.
On there.
Yeah. You mentioned that on the Herrera thing.
Wait, the singer of Against Me, isn't he a girl now?
Yeah.
Did he get the operation and everything?
He's taking hormones. I don't know if he's had he's gotten.
Yeah, but they played together in Florida or something, right?
They did, yeah. And he was like, "Yeah, 90 Pound Wuss was really good" or something. I was like, "This is so weird," because I actually love Fucked Up. Like I've seen them like 3 or 4 times. I think they're really great. And then also when Homaker was on there, he's like, "Yeah, so I was going to church and blah blah blah," and he's talking about Refused and Battery and all these bands. I just thought it was really interesting and really cool. It's a very, very interesting.
Went to the same church in D.C. for a little while.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and his dad was like a minister, and then they talk. It's like this juxtaposition of that, and then he's like, "Yeah, our first show ever, some neo-Nazi skinhead got gutted. He got cut from like the top of his left shoulder all the way down, like ran out, and then I guess the guy's still some like white power like Nazi, and that's like his badge of honor. It was him getting cut at this like Froda show. It's so weird. It's just like a really weird thing, but it's a really interesting interview and really cool, like kind of stuff about this.
Is it the Frotus guy who was in the? I hate to say this, but is it the guy from the Tooth and Nail movie?
I don't know if he's. No, I don't think he's in. No, that's Nathan, who was at Mars Hill, the bass player.
Oh, okay.
Who wasn't a Christian when he was in Frotus.
Right, that was the whole point of his story or whatever. Was he was on a Christian label, but not a Christian. He became a Christian afterwards or whatever.
Yep. And then he was like Mark Driscoll's personal assistant, oddly. But no longer, obviously. But yeah, so it's pretty cool interview. You should check that out. Thought it was really interesting. Him just talking about a lot of those early days of playing music and touring and
just
how that all
nobody like myself has to go and scroll backwards on their YouTube. Say the name of the thing one more time.
Churned Out a Punk. It's called.
Turned Out.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was saying all kinds of crazy stuff on there, and never knew. Like one of the dude from OK Go ran some punk label. The bass player from OK Go ran some label, and like he was briefly in Frotus, and like Jason never even knew he was in Frotus. Anyway, spoiler alert. I'm giving away all the good stuff. I won't say anything more about it. Just listen to it. Just random.
What are these futuristic headphones you're wearing, Bill?
Me?
Yeah,
dude, these are not futuristic. These are the standard, tried and true Sony MDR ones that are like in every studio on Earth.
But they're like they don't even connect all the way.
What? Yes, they do.
Right there, they're like. Whoa. I guess it's just the way the light goes on your head. It looks like I see it, but the way it goes on your head,
old school Sony ones like I used in the studio.
It looks like this part here. It looked like this part here was not connected at all. It's very strange.
I do have a lot of space age stuff though. That I have my little rollover on the thing here from my
Oh, now you look like the same picture that we see all over the internet.
Yeah.
Nice. The cover of your podcast.
Yeah.
Globe. Look at the globe.
The globe. Yeah. I don't have the globe anymore. That was in my old office at Zambui actually. That I took that picture. So.
It's funny when you go to make a flyer for something and you Google someone and try and find a cool picture, and then I eventually went to your Facebook to get a picture.
Good luck. In my case.
Yeah, but I got the one. I don't know. It was a cool picture of you, like wow, whatever, and I was like, that'll work. But
I think cool. I was in a Mastodon shirt.
Dude, yeah. I
actually just saw Mastodon in Vegas when I was at the School of Rock conference. They opened for Judas Priest, who I never would have seen in real life ever. And it was funny because he changed, he had 10 different leather coats that he wore. And one of the guys from one of the other schools said that he had seen them where he could see the side of the stage. He's like, what a weird job that must be to be like the singer for Judas Priest's coat wrangler. And here's your new coat or whatever. And he's like, but I was so mistaken. There's actually 2 guys, one that takes off the coat and then one that hands him the new coat. And I could kind of tell. I could, as we were like up in the balcony, I could kind of see that he had sort of like a behind the speaker stacks. There was sort of like a covering, so it was like a walk-in closet that he was kind of going back to. So these guys would be soloing and stuff, and then he'd come back out in a new like covered in mirrors like jacket, and then the next one with flames and like spikes. It was really something.
Wow. Was it good?
They sounded awesome. I mean, it's not my thing, but he sang perfect, and they sounded perfect. I
love Judas Priest.
They don't move around a lot. Like they basically stay. The bass player, I think, was in the same like 6-inch area, like basically the entire show. Like he literally did not move from that spot the entire time they played. And the drummer, actually, interestingly enough, would do his fills and rolls in both directions. He had a hi-hat on both sides, and then sometimes he would go left to right, and sometimes he would go right to left. I was like, wow, it's very ambidextrous, that guy down there. But it was an interesting crowd. There was one guy there that I'm pretty sure came to the first Judas Priest tour ever and was wearing the shirt from that tour. It was like the shirt that's like used to be black but is now sort of a shade of gray and is barely held together by threads. I was like, man, that guy's making me feel young. He's been here since the beginning.
I have the Who '82 tour shirt that is like that. It's basically like if I put it on right now, it will fall apart. So
nice. Yeah, well, don't do that.
Is that from your dad or something?
No, it was something I found somewhere on tour, and then I remember being in Austin, Texas, walking into a thrift store wearing it, and they were like, "We will buy that shirt from you right now. We will give you whatever shirt you want in here." I'm like, no, I like this shirt.
What's Rich doing right now? Is he making a cake or something?
But we can't drink them.
I saw some growlers. He's like doing something with beer.
No, I'm actually transferring cider.
Oh,
Can
nice.
you hear me better now?
Oh yes, we can.
Yeah.
You hear me? You sound great, Rich.
Okay, good. Well, I switched from my phone to my PC or my laptop.
Much better.
I thought maybe you were on Etsy or something. I don't know what's going on over there. Cider.
Apple cider. I live in Pennsylvania. Apple all around. Apple cider.
Dude, that's awesome.
Hey, Keithy's back.
Yes.
What's up, dude?
Oh, look, Keithy's back.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
He's probably like shooting like an unwrapping thing of whatever DVD he got in the mail today. If I had to guess.
So, Bill, 3
Yes.
years. 3 years.
Billy.
In 3 years.
It's okay. He can say Bill.
In 3 years, you will be 50. Does that freak you out?
I've never been somebody to get weird about like age or anything like that, but yeah, it is a little odd that my next landmark birthday is going to be 50. It doesn't really seem possible.
I know.
Other than the constant tiredness, the degrees of tiredness that have marked the last few years. Well, Ty, I always like to say that's like how you know you're old, is it's just like tireder than I was yesterday, a little more tired than last week, just tired. So it is weird to think that I'll be 50. I don't know. I guess the thing, like, to get to this age, that's the weirdest thing, is just to think, like, how you have to work for so long. Like, I just thought, like, when I was a kid in high school, all I wanted to do was play in bands and, like, maybe work in music. I didn't even know what that looked like. I didn't know how that would work itself out in my life. But then it was like, I felt like when I finished it Tooth and Nail, like, okay, I kind of did everything I wanted to do now. Now I got to work for like another 30 years. What the hell am I going to do now? Like, I didn't plan that. I didn't realize how long life really is. It's like crazy. Like, I got to work like another 20 years until I could even think about retiring. Like, I figure I'm just going to drop dead like at work.
And then by then you won't be able to retire.
Right. Exactly.
Probably.
My retirement plan is welcome to Walmart. Or
Yep.
would you like fries with that? I'll be the sad old guy like sweeping up at McDonald's.
Bill, that's okay. I got my degree in audio engineering when the whole industry went digital and studios went under, so I have nothing to offer either. So.
Nice. Well, maybe you and I can start something together, Brian.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know what that is, but Rich
it's
has some cider.
Thing, right?
You have a really nice microphone, and Rich has some cider, and I've got some old
my studio gear is nice.
Tape. I got an old Element cassette tape we could use for something.
I don't know what to do with cassette tapes. I know they're back, but I don't know what to do with cassette tapes. Like, all these labels follow me, and I'm like, you sell cassette tapes. I don't no use for you. Like, I own a record player. I don't own a cassette player. I had one. I tried to transfer all my wife's old cassettes to MP3s, and it like died like 3 hours in, and I was like,
oh sure,
cassettes are done.
Nice.
And when you transfer a cassette, it sounds like dog crap anyway.
Oh, it sounds like junk. Yeah.
Right.
It's not a great. It's not
You
a
gotta
great
use
format.
that Dolby noise cancellation. That's what you gotta use.
Right.
Right.
These people that are trying to bring the cassette back, they're like, I don't know. Is
Like
that you?
Scott Hatch.
You doing
It's
that?
it's cheap. That's why they do it, because it's cheap.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Explain it to
my
us, Scott.
brewery, we have a cassette
Do
label.
you want to speak about that, Scott?
Yeah,
Yeah, Scott releases cassettes.
yeah, man.
I know he does.
It's fun. They come with digital download codes, you know.
I've been too nice to Scott. I wanted to try to bait him with something.
That's cool.
Hey, we got one too, man. Right here. See, look at that. Look at
Nice.
that. Wait. Let me get it
Nope.
up. There it is.
Oh,
It's a
Oh,
brand
yeah. Oh,
Nice.
yeah, I
new-
got that thing.
I don't have that.
We could put Rocket to Ramona out on a pink cassette.
Scott, hush your face.
Perfect.
Hush your face. Hey, real quick, guys, room. We got a full room here right now, and that's wonderful. But we do have someone on the outside who is asking to come in. So
Okay.
if there's anyone currently in the room,
Rich isn't even in the shot. He's got cider. So I think he volunteers.
fall on the sword.
There, I'm back in the
for
shot.
person that wants to come in.
Ooh.
I will say peace
I'll
out.
jump out
Wait up
with
here.
this.
Yeah, but just keep
I'll
watching.
jump out with this. Well, yeah, I'll go watch it. You don't need to hear me. I don't have anything to say.
Well,
Obviously.
you sound
But-
fine now, but dude, it was crazy before.
Yeah, I'm sure. It was absolutely crazy. It's always
Of
crazy.
course.
There's always something crazy.
Of course, Joel is volunteering.
anyway.
He's Canadian, so he's
I've
always-
got to
There's
go.
just people on our-
It's very
Oh,
late up here. It's cold. I have to go to bed.
Thank
Bye,
you, Joel.
Joel.
Appreciate
Joel.
it, man.
Yeah,
Joel,
thanks, Joel.
Joel, I
You're
love-
awesome.
Joel, I love
I
you,
don't
Joel.
need to bow out.
Love you too, man. Talk to you soon.
soon. Yep.
Joel, nice meeting you. Goodbye, bud.
Good night, Joel.
I didn't mean that. Wait, did that sound rude? I didn't mean that rude.
I feel like he should have jumped on a sword or something at the end.
Yeah, so now, Wes, if you're watching and you want to come in, now's your chance because there's one free spot.
Yeah, but Mike, what's the delay on this thing? There's a delay.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. No, he's not getting
If they're watching on YouTube.
The
If
drama, the
they're
intrigue.
watching on Google Plus, there's no delay.
There's actually people watching this. I feel so embarrassed now.
Yeah,
I thought it was just us. I thought it was just us old bros hanging in the Google chat.
Is this Wes from the commercials,
Before
Wes?
the new guy comes in,
from the commercials.
I was going to say, before the new guy comes in case there's somebody else who wants to join in too, I'll duck out of this if I need to. But when I first started listening tonight, I obviously was on my phone, and you made mention that you were in Gloria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I remember meeting you. In fact, it was probably Cliff and I. We probably both were together the first year that we were at Cornerstone together,
Yeah.
and you were probably doing Fearless Donkey.
Yeah.
And we were probably both like, can you believe this stuff?
In
like,
fact,
this guy's doing this.
There's a Gloria track on that
Mm-hmm.
Songs from Rain Factory CD, and I'm on that track playing bass and doing
Okay.
And we bought a
Was
lot of
there a
cassettes.
demo, too?
There was a demo 2000 years,
Yeah, I feel like...
but I'm not on that.
Oh,
that
you're
was
not
back
on the
like-
demo, but you...
That was back when people
Songs of the
were
Rain
putting out
Factory.
CDs.
I joined right after they did that demo 2000 years, and then some of you probably know Daniel, who is the drummer, Daniel Fairbanks, and then Sam, who's the guitarist in Gloria. They formed that band Soul Food 76 later.
Oh man.
Okay.
So
Well, what I was
Gloria
gonna say
the
was
drummer
about
and
the
guitarist from Soul Food. Yeah. What's that? Sorry.
Okay. Well, the thing that I always remembered about Gloria was there were always like great bass lines in that, and I was going to say, oh, did you play bass?
Just
Most
on
likely.
that one song. Yeah.
Look, he's
Just
all
on that
shy,
one
all
song.
shucks.
All right. So you can't take
Smart.
credit for all.
That one bass line was incredible. It's true.
But I always felt like they had been listening to the call, like to Michael Bean.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Because I don't know if you ever listened to the call or not.
Yeah, of
but
course.
Michael
Yeah.
Bean laid down some pretty thick bass lines.
Yeah, Michael Bean's son is from the
So,
Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. Yeah, and he was running sound for them for a number of years.
Yeah,
also.
yeah. I've never gotten into them quite as much. So
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah,
But that's cool. Okay.
the singer from Gloria is a guy named Larry Nahar, and he plays like kind of like country stuff in Seattle. His thing's called Lucky Lawrence. If you ever want to look that up, but yeah, he still makes music and plays around. Whatever.
Wow. Cool.
And Daniel Fairbanks, who was the drummer, he has like 15 kids or something crazy.
Yeah, whatever happened to him? Because I remember in the late '90s he was doing a country thing too, and then basically he just fell off the planet.
Daniel?
Yeah.
He said he has 15 kids. That's what he said.
But, yeah,
I'm not even exaggerating. Like he literally has like. 10.
Yeah, I
Is he
saw
working on a reality show? Is he trying to get a reality show going?
No. Yeah, I don't know. He has a lot of kids.
Hey, Bill, real quick, do you need, like, we were like, hey, you want to come on the show? Cool. But we never told you, like,
oh, how long it was going to be?
With us for 5 hours?
Yeah. Yeah, it's 11, so maybe like another 15 minutes or something. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't want people to be bored or have to go, so.
That is funny, because when Bill was on my show, he was like, hey, I have to do it in the morning, because I only have like 3 hours in the morning.
Yeah. Well, it's either in the morning or the evening, but I mean, I've worked all day now, so yeah, I am old. So.
So Billy, I was putting in my ACM journal compilation in the car stereo, and I was remembering that Blenderhead song that you guys did on that, and I used to play that on my radio show like all the time in college.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny. Yeah, Aaron Sprinkle recorded that. That was when I don't know if Brian Gray played on that or not. He was definitely in the band around that time. And it was living in my apartment with me, Brian Gray from The Blamed, and he'd been playing Immortal at that time and touring with them, and then he was kind of couch surfing in my place and had moved up he was in a band called Rocks and Pink Cement, and then and it's funny, that song, and I'm sure you can tell when you listen to it, it was kind of a weird time where we were sort of like into like infectious grooves that like suicidal tendencies, and then Rocks and Pink Cement was Brian Gray's band, and they were kind of like a funk punkish kind of thing. That was kind of like a thing in that little era. Like there was a band called Precious Death from California that was kind of playing kind of in that style. So that was kind of the early like beginnings of Blenderhead. There's also a video that Caleb from Boot to Head shot of us at like Concordia College in Portland at the very beginning of the band, right after we were like a 3-piece, and then Eben had just joined. And there's a video footage of that's terrible, and that's also, you can kind of hear some of that in some of the songs. Hey, another cat.
Nice.
All right. Hey, by the way, Bill, have you seen Caleb lately?
He like lost like a whole Caleb.
Oh my gosh, he looks like a completely different person. It's amazing.
He's like
he's as skinny as I am. I mean, it's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yep.
Good dude.
Tell what you love to say. Tell the world what you love to say about Caleb, about the Joey Ramone show, and how much Tooth and Nail just sucked or whatever.
That's right. That's right. We played with Joe. We played with Joey Ramone at CBGB's.
Right.
Nobody at Tooth and Nail thought it was worth like that. It was important, and Caleb got on a plane and flew in because he realized it was important.
I thought it was awesome. If they would have let me fly, I would have flown there for sure. I mean,
you guys had
hey, look,
what's his name? The
here.
Photographer there taking pictures. Tim Owen.
Tim Owen from JP Records.
Yeah. He went in there and he took pictures.
Tim Owen, incidentally, I'm trying to get him on my podcast. He works with owls now. Cool. Actual owls, not the band.
Oh, okay.
But seriously, when is Brian Gray coming on your podcast or Mark? Because he comes up on like every episode.
I've asked him. He said he was like not sure about doing it, but I've had a couple people say that, and then later.
Not sure about doing it.
Yeah, I don't know.
What does he have to hide?
Really?
a lot of secrets.
Did he murder somebody or?
No, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've asked him for sure. I mean, he's on the list.
Is Japuza not letting him?
Here, you guys want to? Now that Wes is here, we'll let Wes ask a question. But
Wes, go ahead.
Hey, Wes.
For you
What's
guys,
up?
For you guys that listen to my podcast, I will just read down a list for you real quick on my phone here of people that I've actually scheduled. I started an interview with Josh Caterer of Smoking Popes and Duval, but we were having audio problems. Like, he thought it'd be a good idea to be driving in his car on his Bluetooth while we were doing the interview, and so it kept cutting out. And then he would answer the question, and I would ask the question, he couldn't hear me, and after like 4 or 5 times of that, we just kind of like gave up. So I got to reschedule with him. I did start that with this week. I'm meeting with Aaron Irizarry, the lead singer of Point of Recognition.
Sound like my Android phone?
What's that? What do you say?
I was like, did it sound like my Android phone?
Totally. It did not sound good. Also, and then moving into the agreed to schedule but not scheduled yet, Joe Mustin from Beloved, Advent and the Almost, Ben Weasel from Screeching Weasel, Daniel Smith from Danielson. It's not far from me, and I'm going to actually drive out to his studio and interview him.
Oh, awesome.
Jason Homaker, we've had to reschedule a couple of times, but I'm going to have him on for sure. Jason Stinson from Overcome, same thing. I've tried to get him on about 4 or 5 times. John Ross, who was in a lesser-known band called Anguish Unsaid from California.
Yeah.
He's a stand-up comedian these days. Stuff. And he has like a comedy podcast and stuff. He's doing some cool stuff. When Emory is in town for their tour here in a couple weeks, I'm going to go interview Matt Carter. Mike Dunn from Mike Dunn and the Kings of New England. Mike Porter from 6 Feet Deep, Branston.
Nice.
Nice.
Ted from Craig's Brothers coming on.
About time.
That's cool.
And then I don't know if any of you guys know this guy, but Chris Esty, who's a publicist guy,
yeah.
a longtime friend of mine. We're trying to work it out with him. And then Dave Quiggle, if he ever comes to New York in person, we're going to do. He's kind of not sure about doing it. And then those are kind of the people that have said for sure that they're going to do it. And then I have a longer list of people that I want to have on. But
when are you going to have Mike Holt on there?
What's that?
When are you going to have Mike Holt on there?
I know. I should have all of you guys on. We should just do it in person.
I just gotta say, I'm incredibly jealous of this long list because what we do on our show is about 4 days before the show we say, hey, who are we gonna have on the show?
Oh, and then, nice.
Somebody and say,
I actually have a plan. Well, I have to plan ahead just to get it to even come together, and even then it doesn't come together. I missed the last 2 weeks. I haven't had a show. I'm supposed to have it every week, but and then the other one that you guys might think is cool is I'm going to do a series of brothers interviews, Weiss brothers,
awesome.
Clark brothers, Fortson brothers from Squad. So all of them, and I plan to do those all ahead of time and then release them all in a row.
I was gonna ask you. So when you do your podcast, you're not doing them live.
Nope.
You record them and then you play them when you want. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I use a Simplecast, which allows you to queue everything up, so you can just put it in the queue and then have it published when you want to. So.
You should do a twins episode with the Fortson twins from Squad 50.
He just said it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have them on.
You did that?
Yeah.
It was like 2 minutes ago.
Well,
dude, that is a great idea, Keithy. I'm gonna do that.
But also with that, then you could also get the Wheatala twins from The Blamed as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, Keithy, you're my man.
That's good. That's good.
Since Brian Gray's not coming.
These just have to be brothers, not twins, right? Why don't you get Dave
just
and his brother from Blast of the Rocket Man?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That would be very cool because they're very opposites nowadays in their
Right.
beliefs and political outlook, and one doesn't even live in America.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I'm in touch with both of them actually.
But that was my favorite band that never went anywhere. Blast of the Rocket Man. They were amazing.
Watalas would be easy because I went to dinner with Chris last time I was in Chicago. So.
Oh, awesome.
I stay in touch with most of these dudes. So.
And Jeff Fortson said he would do this show, but that was where we left it, and we never.
Well,
ask him again, man.
We have to tell everyone you've asked me to be on here a bunch, so it's
right. Well, I used to do a podcast, and what happened was I had Mike on as a guest, and prior to us actually recording that podcast, Mike was like, I want to do this Google Plus thing and do a video thing, blah blah blah, and then I think my last podcast was the one with Mike, and that was it. No more podcasts for Josh, and now we have this stupid thing.
Hey, everybody, let's all welcome Wes here. I see Wes patiently sitting
Hey, what's
there.
up?
He finally made it on. What's going on, Wes?
Not too much. How you doing?
Good. You have a question or something, or what?
No. I could probably think of one.
All right.
I just came on to look at all the pretty things.
I know, and he's
can
just
sit there and
excited
look cool. That's all right.
He's just excited that he got himself a Gibson 498T for his Melody Maker, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wes is one, like pretty much my best friend, and we basically go way back to all the old tooth and nail crap from our childhood and stuff. So, but he's never been on the show. I'm like, dude, why do you never come on the show? And it's like it's absolutely awesome. This show. Not really.
It is. I used to watch the the recap, the follow up, but because I'm usually putting Ruby to bed, and I'm a lightweight these days.
Well, how do you watch something for 3 hours? A bunch of guys not talking about anything.
I love it because I love podcasts, so to actually watch it in action is I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You might have you definitely. I know you told me about the Mike Herrera podcast. You might have told me about Billy's podcast. I don't know. You were like way more into podcasts than I was. I was doing a Stucky podcast, not actually listening to anyone else's. But then I listened to other ones, and I was like, whoa, mine sucks. And then I'm glad it's over now, and I'm glad it's buried, and now we got this thing instead.
Hey, when you got something else that's better than you, you can strive to be good or better than. You don't have to say, I suck, I'm out of here.
Right.
If every band did that, there would never be a band because everybody would realize someone else is better than them.
Unless it was Kiss.
Yes. Well,
Right.
we've gone down that road. By the way, Billy, you have a really, really, really good radio voice. Have you ever tried to work in radio?
It's funny. People tell me that a lot, and I can't stand. I can barely stand to edit my shows to listen to myself talking. So thank you for saying that.
You do.
People have been mentioning that to me, but it's like I can't even barely listen to it. So.
How do you deal with listening to your records then? My goodness.
I don't. Easy. Listen, I'll take another question or two, and then I probably should get rolling.
That's cool.
Yeah. Let's go with either Russ or Wes, because you guys have been the least contributors.
And they also almost have the same name.
You're a hard crowd, man. I've only been on here for 4 minutes.
Pressure's on, dude. We had to kick somebody out by force to get you in here, so no pressure.
Yeah, Wes, you better step
All
up.
right. I guess I could, Billy. I actually had a meeting with you years ago at Cornerstone.
Oh boy.
I'm sure you remember it.
I don't like where this is headed.
We played the Decapolis stage, Conrad stage.
Oh, cool.
And the band I played at the time was called Grandview.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
With you briefly at the end, and I think you were kind of like, yeah, I dig the songs. I like you. And literally, I think on the ride home from Cornerstone, we broke up.
Well, that was your big shot, man. I was like, yeah, what happened to those guys? I was ready to nail the contract, but I never heard from them again.
Yeah, the problem is you guys were called Grandview, and people thought that you were Grand Sane, and then people were like, oh man, they stink.
Too similar.
And so,
Problem.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I mean-
I'm sorry that happened. Just think of it, that was it. That was your shot.
Not to overly promote Bill's.
I'm just getting over it, so I'm all right.
Not to overly promote your book, Bill, but 'cause I know I mentioned it like 20 times already, but
No, I appreciate it.
I also love the part where you say like, I tried to call Goaty Hook from a payphone to sign them, but nobody answered.
Right. Yeah. The struggle, dude. In 1995, the struggle was real. It's hard to get things done.
Mike and I talked about that. How like back then we toured all the time, but we had this one giant band cell phone that we all would play the Snake game on.
That's right.
And it was $1 a minute, and Cliff and I would always get in trouble for calling girls and talking too long. And
not me. That was not me. That was you.
Yeah, but like, man, yeah, the struggle was real.
And then before you, it was CJ always running off to every dang corner phone on the phone booth, always calling whatever girl. I never did that, man. My head was too big to get anybody to
Never.
All right, we got one more. Russ, you got anything in the queue there, buddy? Got anything in the chamber rolling around in there?
Oh.
Wait, Wes seems like he has another one.
Is Russ? Is your question who are you and what do you do?
Brian's trying to figure out why I have so much time on my hands now, and I was like, "Oh, dude, I gotta go."
No, so Billy, before you go, I have this like great idea for this like old school Christian punk rock like distillery.
Yeah.
I have like based on MXPX like Life in General, and then I have one for Blenderhead to do muchacho vodka.
Oh, perfect.
There you go.
I gave up drinking, so I guess you'll have to test it out for me and tell me if it's good.
Don't worry. I'll send it to Mike because I know Mike.
Oh, he
my
likes
career.
it. Yeah, he'll love to drink it.
Yeah.
Mike Holt will too.
Oh yeah.
And I'll be standing there with glaring eyes, going, "What are you doing, man?"
You just turn water into wine, buddy. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anything?
Cliff will
Russ?
be like Jack Quick, sitting on your shoulder.
What's that? I'm waiting for Russ.
I said,
believe in Russ.
Jack,
Right
sitting on your shoulder.
Russ.
Yeah, I don't really have a question. Just a lot of the bands that I heard you say you signed, I listened to pretty much all of them. So,
well,
thanks
that's
for
awesome. Sure, man. Happy to help.
Except our band.
Get out of here. Well, guys, thank you so much. I'm sorry to get going, but my producers, I'm gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
Hey, dude.
Yeah.
2 hours into it. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks,
We appreciate
Bill.
it.
It was a pleasure, guys.
Been a long
Scott,
time.
keep looking awesome. You look great over there. We have to connect soon.
It's
Yeah,
been a
for
long
sure.
time. We miss you, man.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. It was so great to talk to all of you. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for coming on. Mike was like, I had a rough day today, and I told him blah, 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 and he's like, you don't have to do the show. And I was like, no. I'm more excited about the show than anyone we've done so far.
Wow, that's nice of
Freaking
you to
love
say.
this
Thank
dude.
you.
More than CJ Ramon?
I was, man. He's my boy now. I'll need to-
Mike, Cliff, everybody, Keithy, Josh, Rich, Russ, Scott, of course, looking good. Wes, Brian, all you guys, it was great. Thank you so much.
Tell
Yeah,
Ronnie
man.
we said hello, man. Have a
I
great
will.
night, bud.
All right,
All
see
right,
you
man.
guys.
Take
Yeah.
care.
All right, so
All right.
Bill, our guest is gone. It is very obvious that him and Scott have a thing,
Oh yeah,
or at least he has a thing for Scott.
that's cool.
Now is where all the rumors
Really cool.
Well, he should. He should.
He
Get
absolutely.
Scott on there.
Scott does
Great.
look amazing. Let's all be honest.
Oh, thanks.
Out of everybody that's on the lower part of our screen, looks pretty dang. Let's be honest.
He looks the youngest. Him and Rich, they look the youngest.
Absolutely.
Hey, are we all
dude,
the same age? Scott, how old are you now?
I am 42.
Oh, man, you're younger than me. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And Rich, you're the same age as me. No, I got you by a year, too. You're 44? Rich, you're 44, is that right?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I just turned 45. You are a year older than I
Oh,
am.
okay, yeah, because I'll be 46 next week.
Right?
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's wonderful.
Well, I mean,
you guys
I
are old.
remember the
You're all old.
Mike, didn't you just turn 40?
I am not 40. No,
When do you turn 40?
I do not turn 40 until next July.
Okay, that's right around the corner, buddy.
So that's a lifetime away.
We better hurry up and pump out that new album then before you get old.
Better pump out the new album and do 17 more episodes of this show so we can solidify it and then it'll all be done.
Right. Hey, I remember back when Josh, when I turned 30, and he was talking about how I was so old, and I was like, "You're gonna be 30 in like 10 years," you know. And now he's like 36, 35, something like that. So I guess he's old.
And dude, I was 19.
Josh, you're younger than Mike yet, right?
Then what? What?
You're younger than
Josh
Mike.
is old. Josh is young enough to be my son.
Come on.
No, not quite. Not quite.
That's weird.
These days, you never know.
I'm 35, all right? I'm 35. I remember your 30th birthday party because I was 19, and I thought that, yeah, this dude is old. What am I doing at a 30th birthday party? But it's because I was still a teenager, really, you know.
Yeah.
No, reality.
And,
So,
you didn't see that.
So,
10 years, just 10 years was right around the corner, and now you're past that by 5.
yep.
Do you feel old?
in one of the, I was going to say, in one of the many stories of how Cliff and I thought Mike Holt was so young, there was, and this is after like Mike and Cliff were playing for a couple of years, so we all spent New Year's Eve one year in Baltimore and hung out with Mike, and this was before you and Jen were married, I think. We were at your parents' house, and we ended up watching Grosse Point Blank. And the movie's over, and I'm not
I
sure
have
if
no memory of this at all.
Hopefully you all remembered seeing this. But anyways, we watched the movie. The movie's over. You know, Cliff and I are just like, oh yeah, that's great. Now, like, granted, we would have already had our 15th year high school reunion or something like that, and I think that was based on a 10-year, high school reunion. That movie, and Mike Holt's like, yeah, I didn't get it. It really wasn't that good. That movie wasn't really that good. And Cliff and I are just like, what? What? How is that? And we're just like, oh man, he's so young. He doesn't understand. So, anyways, funny story about Mike Holt being young, I guess. Well, boring story maybe, not funny. I don't know.
Mike, aren't you only you're like 5 years younger than me? 6 years. No, wait, if I'm 46 and you're going to be 40 next year, we're 6.5 years. So 6.5 years. And, almost 7 years. So,
well, see, 6.5 years. 6.5 years seems a lot more back when, I would be 16 or 17, and you would be in your mid-20s, than it does now that we are late 30s or 40s. It's a different, time span, so to speak.
Really, nowadays with all the rules and stuff, it probably would not even be allowed.
What would not be allowed?
There would be no.
Cliff, how young is Christy?
Someone that much older than Mike.
She was 20.
She's young enough to be his daughter.
No, how old is she now? How old is she now?
She's gonna be 30 on New Year's Eve.
Oh, okay. That's younger than the girl that I might sort of not be seeing.
You're not. You're not.
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to beat me? It's pretty hard to beat me. When I graduated from high school, at my high school graduation, Christy was 1.5 years old.
Yes. You'd be best to just not say that. You'd be best to just flash forward and not say that.
Christy doesn't watch the show, though, so it's all right. I mean, she was up here this past weekend, and I mentioned something about the last show, and she said, I don't know, I don't watch it, I can't watch it. Well, it's cool. I mean,
I guess the whole point, though, is age is relative. Like Mike said, when you're younger, age seems like such a big deal, but now, as we get older, it's not that much of a deal anymore. At least I hope it's not.
I will say that the older you get, the more you understand the generational differences of people that are younger than you. Because people that are in their 20s literally have no concept at all of what life was like before the internet. They don't even know. They don't know. It's like hearing stories from Grandpa, and it's just like the very idea of being in love with a girl, and so you write her a letter in the mail, and 2 weeks later you're running and you're hoping that she wrote you a letter back in the mail, and everything was way slower
or waiting a week to watch the next episode of a TV show. That alone is very foreign to children these days. What are you telling me that I can't watch what I want to watch right this second? It's well, yeah, you can, because we can do that now. But back when we were younger, you couldn't do that. You had to wait. You had to wait till the next.
Right, and there were 3 channels.
Yeah. 3 channels, or you had to wait till Saturday morning to watch cartoons, and now there's a Cartoon Network that airs 24 hours a day. So there's no wait. There's no wait and wait for it. So
everything that you want is at your hand. So is right there for you at any time. So in many ways, because of this, it's almost like nothing has any value to anyone anymore at all.
Yeah, in the area of entertainment, I would agree. Yeah.
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean,
think about how when we knew somebody had a new album coming out, we would be waiting for months for it, and it was like a huge deal. You'd go to the record store, and there'd be line of people, and just the whole going, just the fun of an adventure of going to a record store and discovering bands just from looking at the back of the jacket and seeing what the band looked like to maybe think if that would be a band you might want to listen to or not, just from the way they look. And you would buy it because I remember when it was a new thing that you could actually demo an album right there in the store. I remember before that when it was just like you either bought it or you didn't. See you later, and there wasn't any testing anything out and seeing if you liked it or anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, good grief.
Or like Cliff, I don't know if you did this, but I would come home from school and get out a blank cassette tape and go over the radio and freaking wait until a song came on, hit record, and make my tapes that way.
Yeah.
I remember a tape that I do a lot. Like I caught a really good like beginning and end of a song of something back then, and I remember like once the DJ came back on, he was talking about Kurt Cobain killing himself, and like that made it onto my recording that I ended up listening to a lot for like a couple years, and I was like, oh yeah, I recorded that the day Kurt Cobain shot himself. But yeah, I mean, I'm old too, I guess.
I don't know, man. The first Cornerstone I went to with Rich in I think it was 1992, and I was walking around with a tape case with 30 cassettes in it, getting bands to sign them. What?
I said I was slightly embarrassed by that.
Hey,
like, I remember you wanted to get all my Mike Knott tapes signed by Mike Knott, and I was like, dude, I don't need that. No, don't. No, you need to do it. You need to do it.
Do you remember that night I stayed up all night long redrawing the cover to redrawing by hand the cover to Lifesavers, not Kiss of Life, but the Lifesavers album, Dream Life. I drew it. I drew the whole cover by hand, like painstakingly, all night long at your house.
Yes.
Basically, you were a different generation version of Brian Hart.
To this day, sorry, Josh. Go ahead.
He said I was a different generation version of Brian Hardy.
That's what he does. He gets every band to sign everything,
Well, I mean, I'm a kid from a small town, and these people were really important to me. They were genuine rock stars. To be able to go to Cornerstone and meet them all in real life blew my freaking mind. When I first got to meet the guys in the Crucified, remember how awesome that was to us, Rich? I keep saying Rick because of Rick from Huntingtons, but I mean, it's just so important and so cool to watch the 77s and Res Band live in real life. And these were just guys, I mean, it's just music was a lot more important to me then because I didn't know how to be a professional musician. So it blew my mind to watch people do it. It was genuinely interesting. But then once I got to the point of being able to know how that was done myself and be professional and good at it myself, I literally took all joy of being able to discover anything and watch something and have fun with it. None of that means anything to me anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing, and I don't know if it's that way for everybody, but I feel the same way. Like once you got into it and you did it yourself, witnessing it from an outsider's perspective became completely meaningless.
Yep.
Like I couldn't care less about going to shows. Like I've heard that The Cure is going to do a North American tour next summer. I likely will go, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till that goes on sale. Like I'll probably go, but just because that's what I do. But like I don't care. Like I couldn't care less about going and seeing a live band right now. I couldn't.
I know. It's like unless I'm on the stage doing it myself, it's not fun at all. And even then, it's only fun until about halfway through because then I'm tired. And then, like halfway through the show, I'm just, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta somehow get the energy to keep finishing the end of the show and be really good. But and that's the part of the age that comes in. It's just like CJ was talking about before. And literally, if I'm not on a stage playing a concert, it's not fun to be at a show at all. So, by the way, listening to the Cranberries a lot this week, just this like tape that I made, and I can't believe. Did you ever notice how much the later day Cranberry stuff started like having a lot of influences by The Cure in their stuff? You know that song where it's like where she talks about hey man, Kurt Cobain. She like name drops Kurt Cobain in that one song. Listen to that again. Like all like the guitar melodies going through it. It's like ripped right off of like Wish era Cure, man. It's like so cool. And then there's another song that's got that fast drum beat that's very much like the Wish era kind of stuff that the Cure was doing at the time. Listen to it with that thought in mind. You'll be like, oh man. So
in other words, you listened to The Cure enough to remember what The Cure was like?
Hey, I was hanging around Mike. I had to.
That's true. Yeah.
And this was when you came out of it like the 80s, and the pop metal and the metal and all that kind of stuff was so overplayed to the point where all this other stuff became genuinely refreshing and cool and different, and it was like so much. It was like. That's when me and Mike and I were discovering music as far as being able to play it, and so all of that kind of stuff. And this was, think about all that stuff from before there was even Green Day and all that, all those different bands. Then it was just so refreshing, and you would still gravitate towards guitar bands mostly, but still it was just such a different formula, and it just felt different. It was cool at the time. Now I'm just like, so
Well, Mike, what do you think?
What?
What were you about to say?
I was going to say we're going to take the show offline.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yes, we're going to...
We're at 2.5 hours,
And everybody can stay if they want, but we're going to cut the feed, and all the millions of people that are watching us talk this nonsense can go do something else with their lives.
All 5 of them.
Pretty much every show we have is about, hey, remember this? Remember that?
Yeah, well, that's when you're old, that's what you do.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks for watching. Thanks for Billy Power for being on the show, and all you guys for joining.
Yeah. And he was great. He was a really good guest.
Absolutely.
And listen to his podcast.
Yeah, the podcast is amazing.
Yeah, listen to it, man. It's good. And we don't know who the next guest is going to be on this show. I know that I'm going to be driving home from across the bridge that night, so I might not even be here. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to I don't know. Maybe
just don't ever have if we ever get in a place where I have to host the show by myself again, we should just not have the show that day.
Right.
Just not have it.
I'm also going to be out of the country for a little bit in December, so I won't be on the show then either.
We're thinking that we're going to have your wife sit in for you.
Yeah, she would.
We may take. I mean, it's also possible we just take us a little bit of a break and regroup and come back next year or whatever.
Yeah,
we'll see. In any case, for tonight's show, we're done. So thanks for watching. See you in 2 weeks, where the guest will be whoever the heck we pull in 3 days ahead of time.
Right. We'll make sure we put up a flyer, impromptu flyer that Josh makes.
Right, because that's what we do. We pull a guest in 3 days before the show and say, boom, here it is. So.
And it'll probably have something to do with our own lives, because we just like to talk about ourselves. Maybe we'll have AJ on the show. Adam Garbinski.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yes. We will do that. All right.
Because we can get into all the little minutia of what they were really talking about behind us, and what kinds of stuff were they saying in the van when they were driving around, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna give.
And it was Dave still rubbing his balls on like phones and stuff like that,
Okay.
You're running the next episode.
All right. So Cliff, one more chance to say something at the end.
Good night, guys. Thank you for watching.
All right, because every time I say something, it's just more. We're done. Thank you. See you in 2 weeks. Adios.